the ashes, the spirits light up the night, looking down the
Now, we're live from the Untold Radio Network. It's Untold Radio AM with Monster Quest producer, host Doug Hajicek, and co-host Jeff Perrella Jr. Untold Radio AM is going live right now.
This show is for entertainment purposes only. Yep, that's the ticket. Now here are your Untold Radio AM hosts, Doug Hajicek and Jeff Perrella Jr.
And here we are. Hello, everyone.
Hey, Jeff, and hello, everyone, or should I say hot damn? Tonight, we have a very great guest,
Yep.
And he's already with us in the green room. David Bakara, and he's the owner and curator of the Expedition Bigfoot Museum in Georgia. David is a wealth of experience, certainly in talking to people and getting firsthand encounters where they don't even really want to tell anybody else. So we'll be exploring the entire Bigfoot mystery from A to Z, everything strange, everything normal, whatever. So we'll put our heads together tonight and see if we come to any kind of consensus, because I'm open-minded. I don't have any idea. I'm open to anything.
I know nothing.
Like everything.
Me too.
I've experienced so much weird stuff. And
I know nothing.
Even weird stuff when I'm out researching.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm as humble as they come. So I cannot wait to give David the front stage here.
Yeah.
What else we got going on? We do have a tech breakdown. We have clips. And news, of course.
News and clips and
news and clips, but the tech breakdown's kind of cool. I'm kind of excited about that one. And let's see what else. We got heat and humidity back, which is not so fun to work outside again. It's like, ugh. And we got smoke.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk a little bit about the smoke. I'm gonna have a heart-to-heart talk with everybody about this damn smoke.
Oh, it's getting old, man.
It really is. It's been terrible.
Yeah.
But please, grab a cold lemonade, turn the air conditioner up. Or you can grab another cold beverage. I don't care.
An adult beverage, if you prefer.
Yeah, if you prefer, and you're not driving. But let's get on. But I wanted to mention, I threw together I guess it's a music video commercial.
Sure.
For Loretta Collins and Mark DeWer's Bigfoot Conference in New York, the first annual.
Yep.
I'm trying to help these guys out a little bit. So I like doing it. And
this is really good. Everyone, you're going to love this. This is really cool. It's cool.
The event is October 3rd and 4th. So buy your tickets, drive there. Yep. It's not that far.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of people I know that are into Bigfoot in that end of the world, on the whole East Coast.
I'm hoping I can go. I can't commit to it yet, but I'm really hoping I can go.
Yeah. All right, so let's do that, and then we're going to come back.
All right, here we go.
Bigfoot's real.
Oh, yes, they say.
They came with their stories. They came with their proof. From the Appalachian hollers to the cabin's roof. The New York Bigfoot Conference just offers more convincing proof. Sasquatch believers, the skeptics too, under one big arena with a curious crew. Vendor booths and chili fries, cryptic shirts in every size. Bigfoot's real. Oh yes, they say. Spotted him just the other day.
just saw. It looked like a Sasquatch.
Shadows play. Bigfoot's real. Don't look away. A man with only a camera says he heard the howl by a creek so quiet near an old church tower. A woman saw footprints as big as a plate. She said, I froze in the woods. I couldn't escape. Celebrity speakers, cameras flash, selling Bigfoot and bugs for your morning stash. Bigfoot's real.
The evidence is mounting year after year.
Spotted him just the other day. In the hills, in the trees, where the shadows play. Bigfoot's real. Don't look away.
Come to the New York Bigfoot Conference and believe.
Man, how good was that, huh? Good job, Doug.
There you have it. I'm here. Hope people liked it.
I think it was great.
It's a soft sell commercial, but it does get the information out, and it does it in a fun way. So there you go.
Yeah, I love it.
I learned about soft sell when I was in high school. I remember that. Did you guys have to take an advertising class when you were in high school?
No, but I did in college. I took business classes in college.
That's what they stuck me in from 8th grade on into business school in the senior high, because I walked into the principal's office and said, I'm done with all this. I want to go to business class. And I liked it at the senior high. So anyhow. Yeah. All right. I do want to welcome some people. I want to welcome Buttworm especially. He's back. Yeah. He wrote me a letter. He said, I've been banned. And I'm like, well, we'll straighten that out. I don't know how he got banned. I didn't ban him. Somebody maybe accidentally did. But anyhow, Alex fixed it. Buttworm's back. So hi, Buttworm. Thank you, Kenny, for the nice super chat. We appreciate it. Mm-hmm. We've got, let's see, pretty good crowd, I see.
Yeah.
Super chat. Buttworm says, thank you very much. See, that's the kind of service you get when you write old Doug. Took care of it for me.
Yeah, we fixed it.
Anyhow, it's just because I've been saying for months now, where's Buttworm? Where's Buttworm?
Yeah, you have mentioned that. I had no idea. I don't know how that happened. I don't. Who knows?
Well, we have no way of knowing. Mm-hmm. All right. What else we've got? So shout out to everybody and all the moderators and chat.
Thank you so much, everyone. Really so happy to have you here.
And then I want to do a shout out to Jim Z, who joined us on a little secret road trip on what day was that? Monday.
Fun day.
Yeah,
a little mini adventure.
Yeah. So Jim joined us. He's an Untold Radio listener, a loyal one. He never comes in chat though, ever.
No.
He's a lurker. But I guess
just a great guy.
He's a great guy.
It's fun to have him along with us.
We had fun. We were listening to the Sasquatch Chronicles on the way home.
Yeah.
All sorts of cool stuff. He was picking out things we needed to hear, and it was great.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good drive.
But the problem was you got me hooked on something. You bought a bag of Lifesaver gummies.
Yeah.
And you opened the bag and stuck it in the middle, and that's great. I can't stop eating them. You're eating them. I'm eating them. Jim's eating them. But then I bought a bag too. So we had 2 bags. So we ate.
I thought I was going to surprise you. I know you love them.
Oh my God. We ate 2 bags of those damn things.
2 big bags of gummy Lifesavers. They were good.
Yeah. I'm sure I was making rainbows when I got home. It was too much. And then we stopped at Quick Trip and we got some very delicious food. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. Maybe a few too many ingredients, possibly. Mm-hmm. But good. I had these crunchy taco things that were like to die for. They were that good. I'm just like craving them right now. All right.
Oh,
so
then we'd Culver's too. Culver's was good too.
yeah, well, we made it home safe. It was a long day. We drove a lot.
Yep.
But let's see what else we've got. I think that's about it. I think we can get right to the news real quick, and we'll try to get through our pre-show here and get David on.
All right, time for the news. Here we go.
Untold Radio news that can be a bit weird is right now.
First off, we have air quality alerts now in 10 states as wildfires burn in Canada. 700 fires and counting. 500 of them are out of control.
Thanks.
And I'm like, okay, so is this going to get worse? It can't get much worse.
It's been terrible here. It's just terrible.
Yeah, they say we have the worst air in Minnesota anywhere in the world, and that's bad.
It's been terrible. It's just unpleasant to be outside.
But here's what's funny. I did a little research. This is my news. I did a little research, looked up the smoke map, did all that. And maybe you can go down. There's a photo 2 I put up. And that's the smoke smoke map from 2:30 in the morning last night, right? As you can see, a lot of the smoke is coming up from above Hudson Bay. Well, there's not even any damn trees up there.
Right.
It's just wet moss. So I'm like, forest fire. They didn't mention there's peat fires. Nobody mentioned that. Maybe there is. But what's going on?
I never thought of that. I bet you're right.
There could be. I don't know. But look.
That'd be miserable to try to put that out.
Yeah. So the majority.
People burn forever.
Yeah, but here's where it gets weird. So you go on the other side and you type in, Canadian rainfall. Oh, Canada. So I get this report about how Canada is getting more expected. It says, let's see here. I'll read this. This is my news. It says predictions for Canada's rain levels in 2025 indicate an increase in precipitation in many regions. Climate models suggest that Canada will experience more intense rainfall events due to climate change. Everything's climate change, right? Too much rain, it's climate change. Too little, it's like, really? They have to get that line in there every time, particularly in the northern and eastern parts of the country. Well, look at the northern part. It's burning like crazy. But it talked about all of the downpours, heavier downpours in Canada, blah, blah. It says long-term trends over the past decade, Canada has already observed a trend of increasing precipitation. Increasing. So then why are there more wildfires? That's the question.
I don't get it.
Is it
I don't remember. Do you remember a summer that was this wet?
Never.
It's the wettest summer I remember. It's been pouring rain here more often than not.
And these weather systems go into Canada. Okay, so my thing is, it's got to be arson that's probably going on.
That's kind of what I've been reading too. It's arson.
I think it's being downplayed, but I don't know. But man, oh God, get the U.S. Army up there. Get everything you got. Get all this crap because we're choking on the smoke.
It's miserable.
Bad. Come on, people. Get real. Get these fires out. All right. Next, researchers were shocked to discover an enormous new species of insect. And there's a video of it there. And it says researchers were shocked to discover an enormous new species of stick insect in Australia, in the Australian forest, highlighting just how much humans have yet to learn about the biology and the rich habitat, right?
That's massive, man.
We don't know anything. How did that thing stay hidden?
It's weird.
It's the heaviest insect in Australia for sure. And it goes 15 inches in length, weighs 44 grams, 1.6 ounces. It's a big bug.
It's a big bug.
And then Hell's Bells, America's cattle farms are being protected by AC/DC music. And I thought, okay, I got to read this. So they're throw up photo 3. This is their strategy. they're playing AC/DC music at farms and drones. And apparently the wolves don't like AC/DC and they flee. That's the strategy. And I'm thinking, okay, it sounds good. It says hits including Thunderstruck and Blue on Black are chasing away wolves. So there you go. There you go. Yeah. Just what we need. And then in Minnesota here on the research vessel, the Blue Heron, which I'm highly familiar with because I've done research on that ship, black goo was oozing from the ship on the Great Lakes and teeming with undiscovered life. So they're discovering new life, goo. And this goo was trapped between basically the propeller shaft and the housing. And it was growing. And apparently they discovered all sorts of new bacteria and probably plankton and all sorts of new creatures living in Lake Superior that were making the Blue Heron's drive shaft its home. Yeah, and that's what it looks like. They call it black goo. It says the research vessel Blue Heron trawls the Great Lakes, gathering data from water. The floating laboratory's most recent discovery, however, came from an unexpected location, its own rudder. While docked after a long cruise to study algae blooms in the Great Lakes, it says, and this was in September of last year, the mechanism that allows the 87-foot long, nearly 27-meter long boat to change directions, unsure of what this odd goo was, Doug Ricketts, who I know, Marine Superintendent and Senior Research Associate at the University of Minnesota Duluth, large observatory. God, these articles are long. Brought a cup of the substance for testing. And this material was teeming with life forms that were unknown and unknown microorganisms. Ship
in Lake Superior. That's crazy.
And they've informally named it Ship Goo 001. And apparently it's an oxygen-free environment, which is also what's really interesting about it. There's no oxygen.
Is that the word for that?
Yeah, it's like what do they call it? Life that's living on like meteorites and other things.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. So the Mugu is found. The goal will be collected without disturbing its oxygen-free environment. So they got to get it and then keep it in a vacuum. Sure. But throw up the photo of my project that I did with the Blue Heron in cooperation called the Benthic Explorer. I have a weird life. I built this thing like a mad scientist in my garage one day. And it took me more than a day, but I remember my neighbor coming over and saying, what in the heck? Just always shaking his head constantly, So I built this, and this was the world's first instrument that had 360 vision. It had the world's first SAGE, they call it SAGE, which is the inland tide measuring device that had never been invented, never been used. And it was to measure the inland tides, like the tide goes in and out Lake Superior and the Great Lakes. Had never been measured. I did that.
That's cool.
And then I used the world's first multi-frequency cameras. That was the first time those had ever been used. The Navy has now adapted those.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because it's water-piercing technology. It pierces the water. So there you go. And we learned all sorts of things and discovered how like the mysis shrimp in the Great Lakes migrate up and down the water column. And we get to measure the SAGE and actually see it in action visually with these flotation plastic I developed. And yeah, it was really a fun project. But anyway.
I don't think people appreciate just how big Lake Superior is. It's massive. It's so deep. I mean, there's a lot of undiscovered stuff in that lake. There has to be. It's just
there is. Well, that's why I built the camera, and we submerged it at the bottom of Lake Superior, and it was there for almost a year, gathering data, all sorts of data. I mean, I didn't want to get into it. It'd take me an hour, but it could also do experiments and conducted fish intelligence experiments, as an example.
That's cool.
Did all sorts of things. I get it. I could do a whole show just on that thing. It was really fun.
That'd be fun to talk about Lake Superior.
Yeah. Anyhow. All right. So moving on. Sorry, I saw a picture of the blue heron and it brought back all these memories.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. A woman faces more than a $20,000 medical bills after a wild bat flies into her mouth.
Yikes.
The bat flew into her mouth, and of course she had to go treatment for you know what. I'm not even going to mention it. And she is okay, but she ended up getting this giant bill, and her insurance company wouldn't cover it because they said there was some 30-day waiting period. That's why she bought it, to travel to Australia, right? And they wouldn't cover it. So I don't know what's going on now. But she described it. If it weren't for the horrible medical bill, everything was fine, you know. But imagine that thing flying into your mouth.
No thanks.
And she did describe how it tasted. She said it tasted earthy.
Oh, jeez.
All right. Next, done with news. That's Doug's clip picks. Let's do it.
Ready for some clips? Here we go.
Yeah. All right. Clip one. The sound is good. Now, how can you not have too many frogs?
A lot of frogs.
It's a lot of frogs. It's amazing, isn't it? Isn't nature amazing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No. I don't want to give people nightmares. They're going to have frog nightmares. Okay, clip two. This is talking about this new, have you read about this new 3-eye atlas object that there are a lot of scientists saying this thing's got to be a ship because it's plotting a course. It's not acting like a comet or anything else or any other object. It's actually got some kind of very interesting course that defies just a natural object. Are you aware of that, Dave?
I'm sorry. I was trying to get this video had some issues trying to get it.
Are you aware of this? All right. Don't play it. Are you aware of this object, this Atlas 3-eye?
Yes. Yeah. That's
you are? Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, I told the audience what it is. Let's go ahead and play this clip. I'd be interested in knowing what people think. There's no sound, Jeff.
What's going on? Oh,
perfectly in the same flat plane that the planets orbit in, the ecliptic.
Yeah, sorry about that. This video got corrupted here. I had
Another major point is about its orbit. Most interstellar objects enter at random angles, but this one is different. Its path lies almost perfectly in the same flat plane that the planets orbit in, the ecliptic. That kind of alignment is incredibly rare, and it's not just a coincidence. This angle would actually allow a flyby path that brings it closer to multiple planets, almost like a planned route. It's similar to how we designed the trajectory of our Voyager spacecraft to pass by several planets for study. According to calculations, the chances of this kind of precise alignment happening randomly is only about 0.2%, and it gets even more curious. The object passed unusually close to Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. These are some of the closest planets to Earth, and having an object from another star system come so near to all three in one journey is highly unlikely. The chances of this happening randomly are around 0.005%, which is extremely rare. It's almost as if the object is on a carefully chosen path, one that maximizes interaction with the inner solar system. Another weird coincidence is that when 3-eye Atlas comes closest to the Sun or its perihelion, it will be on the opposite side of the Sun from Earth. This means Earth will be completely blocked from seeing it at that moment. The Sun will be right in the way. The chance of this kind of alignment is around 7%, which again is not very high. It feels almost like the object is deliberately avoiding our view, slipping past Earth through its one major blind spot.
So the unusual trajectory of this object offers the possibility that it might have been designed so as to have some goals of a reconnaissance mission. So it's possible that it's a comet, but if that's the case, it will become very clear as it comes closer to the sun and gets heated, so that its evaporation rate gets much larger.
All right, that's
and then the glow of dust and gas.
I got the idea.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I hope they figure out what it is.
Yeah, there's I could actually talk about that a long time. I've done a little bit of research on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
just weird. It's weird. The chances of it acting this way are weird, as did Muamua.
Yeah.
And I don't know what became of that. I guess it just disappeared, whatever. All right, the next one is kind of in line with the same thing. Sound is good. This is sound captured on Mars. And it's something I'm like, God, did I ever hear sound captured on Mars before? And I'm thinking, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Go ahead and play this. Really interesting. All right, that's it. All right, Jeff. Weird. That's all I can say. Someone's going to superimpose that into some Bigfoot audio videos. It sounds like a creature screaming. But they claim it's meteorites hitting the surface. It's causing that.
Weird.
Like, whatever. All right. Clip 4 is sound is good.
Wrong one. Hold on.
Yep, wrong one.
Sorry.
Sorry.
There we go.
All right. So this is good. There's a really funny delayed reaction at the end. Just go ahead and play it with sound. Reaction.
Thanks for coming.
There's a Bigfoot, a guy in a Bigfoot suit. It just scares the living crap. Even though the thing was talking to him, it still freaked him out when he finally noticed what it looked like.
Yeah.
He just jumps. Okay. All right. Then we have a clip with the world's smallest motor that we're going to build Jeff a little motorcycle with. Little micro motorcycle. Look at this thing.
This is the world's smallest motor electric wheel, which if falls from your hand, you will probably never find it. It is smaller than a grain of sand. And the surprising thing is that the biggest part of this motor, which is the wheel, is the smallest. Inside it, there are 4 capacitors, a power circuit, and a single fan wheel. But the thing to think about is how it would have been assembled.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Nanotechnology. And it's going to get smaller. I mean, they keep making things smaller and smaller. All right, clip 6, no sound on this, but a lot of people are familiar with barn owls, but this is how they act when they feel threatened. It's really interesting. They do a dance. Interesting, huh, Jeff? Well, Jeff is muted. All right.
Yep, that's cool, man.
Yeah, that's cool.
I had a cough. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what the cough button is for.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then I had to sneak a little dad joke in. I just had to. It's a pretty funny one. You can cut it off at any time. The first one's the funniest. Go ahead. Need audio?
No audio?
No audio. Darn it. No audio. It's good. No audio, Jeff. It's no audio, Jeff.
Freebie? No audio? Really?
No, nothing.
That's weird.
I know it's weird. What's going on?
I don't know. Gremlins. Didn't we talk about that last week? Gremlins? A couple weeks ago? I don't know what's going on there.
All right, well, enough of that. Clip 8, sound is fine, even though you may not have any. Don't need it.
Let's see here.
But this is a very out of place animal. When you see this is not the environment you see them in.
No,
it's a polar bear down in the boreal forests of Canada. And a lot of people don't know they head into the forest right in the summer. They actually go south.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they go south and they hibernate, kind of, sort of. They rest and they just pretty much chill out till the ice is formed on like Hudson Bay. and that's when they go hunting. But polar bears are as far south as just like 100 miles from Snow Grove. Just weird.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. They come that far down.
They're dangerous, man. That's a dangerous animal. It's one of the most dangerous animals.
I don't know if they eat much in the summer, though. I really don't think they do.
No
so
clue.
I thought that was just kind of cool. You don't see footage of polar bears in the summer. Okay.
Oh, I see what the problem is. It's a problem with StreamYard. I'll have to restart my browser. All right. Anyways.
The next one is just a really good illusion of movement where there is none. And just go ahead and play this. These things are not moving at all, but you'll see them just going up and down and all around. It's a beautiful illusion.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Those objects have not moved at all. So there you go. You cannot always believe your eyes. You cannot. All right, then.
Do we need audio for this one?
Let's see here. Oh, yeah, you don't really need to. Just read what it says, everybody.
Okay.
Read it.
I hate watermelons. You read that wrong. You read that wrong too. Oh, I just failed it.
It says, I hate water lemons.
Water lemons.
You that read wrong.
Yep.
You read that wrong too. So you've read two things wrong and had no idea.
Yep.
If it wasn't pointed out, and I'm sure our audience will find the same.
Well, I just failed it. I just failed at trying to read it right now.
I failed it too. That's how quick we are to judge things. You know, we just skim. We're just skimmers. We read the news. We skim. We read headlines. We just skim. You know, we're all skimmers. But when you actually have to go back and somebody says that's wrong, you go back and you go, wow, how did I miss that? That's two things.
It's pretty wild.
All right. Now, the next is a IQ test that we're going to be giving people. And the first person to throw the answer in the chat, we will send them something free. This is not a contest. This is not a contest.
Very important.
It's very important. It's not a contest.
And no wagering.
First person to get this answer right, it is an IQ test. It's very simple, but if you get it right, just put your comment down as quick as you can, and we'll send you some. All right, go. It says 98% of people fail this.
Anybody got it? I actually figured that out.
Well, it's okay.
Boom.
Oh, Michelle. Is that Mitchell or I can't read? It's going
Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle.
Michelle was first. So please email me. I'll type it in the chat here just so we have it. Email me. It's
Good job. Good job, Michelle.
UntoldRadioAM.com. I'm typing it in the chat right now.
Oh, and Lee was just really close. Super close. Super close. So anyhow,
Michelle, email me your contact, your mailing address, and Doug will get something out to you.
Yeah. All right. Tech breakdown. Then we're going to bring on David.
Okay.
And this tech breakdown won't take wrong. I could actually cut out something about it, but let's go ahead and get going on tech breakdown.
Okay.
Technological breakdown.
All right, this is going to be about a mini, very versatile camera that's more handy than a chip clip during a football game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Super handy. And you have to spend much money, $22 for many, many different brands. You can get all sorts of different brands, $22. It's hard to believe even. I have no idea how they can even mail it for that, let alone ship it out free for that. It's insane.
Crazy.
These are really high quality, and I have one. I have one in my garage. I was using it last night.
You gave me
but
one.
They're really handy for camera traps. Why? Because they have a fixed focus lens. They are tiny. It's like a less than 1/4 of an inch or about 1/4 of an inch. And you can hide these anywhere. You can turn the light off. You can do whatever. They're very low light. You could slip one through the screen on your tent or through the floor, poke a little hole in the bottom or side of your tent, slip this out, and you've got a really cool camera that you can manipulate. But let's cut right to this one, which is a little more expensive because they make articulating ones. Put up photo, let's see here, photo 13. Throw that one up.
Photo 13, sure.
So I know for a fact this one's like $49. It still is extremely cheap for what you get. And you can see the end. You can actually do that little thumb wheel, and that thing will move around and anywhere you want, a little articulating end.
Oh,
a lot of people, and these are called endoscopes, borescopes, snake cameras. And that's why they're handy just to have around the house, right? It's a great investment because you can take it out.
It's useful.
You can take it out to your cabin. You can take it out on camping, and it'll tell you what's going on outside your tent, right? Bring a black cloth, throw it over your head. So when you turn it on, you hear something, you turn this thing on, you can maybe see what it is. Or what we're going to talk about tonight, you might hear it, may not be able to see it. I don't know. But that's the mystery we're trying to solve. But you can hide the tip in a log, a piece of wood.
All that's showing is the tip of that thing. Is really cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. They're very low light. They work really good, and they're not expensive. This one is $49, but it comes with a 32 gig SD card, so those aren't cheap either. So you get really everything. The drawback on the more expensive ones are the cord is shorter, 5.5 feet versus like 16 up to 32 feet.
That's still pretty long, though. It's
not really a cord. It's a very stiff wire. It's stiff. It's bendable. You can pose it in any shape you want, right? So you can do once you get this thing, you can do some really creative camera traps in your camp or even away from your camp, because it'll record and buffer on that SD card. And so I would imagine you're going to get at least 8-9 hours of record time.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's it. We're done. We can bring David on.
Yeah.
All right.
He's already back there.
Yeah. So let me introduce David here. So, and I hope I'm pronouncing David's name right. I think I am. David Bakara or Bakara. I don't know. Did we spell it wrong? Is it Bakara or Bakara? I think it's Bakara with an A. All right.
Yep.
He's from Georgia, and he often talks about reports that he has taken in the past. David is used to be in research in a research organization, and later on branched out to new horizons within the cryptid subject. David Bakara is the owner of Expedition Bigfoot in Georgia. It's a Sasquatch Museum. I guess it's really amazing. And it's located in Blue Ridge, Georgia. David has spoken with many people about otherworldly characteristics, right? About Bigfoot. And we're going to talk about that. We'll also talk about the normal side of Bigfoot. The things they do. I mean, the hair they leave, the scat they might leave, the road crossings. If it's otherworldly, why is it crossing the road? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know anything. But let's just go ahead and bring David on, and then we'll get down to the conversation here that I'm excited about.
Okay, just a second. We'll get David come on. All right, and welcome, David.
Good to be here.
Hey, hi. David, how are you? It's so good to meet you.
Good to meet you, too.
Yeah, and as you know, Ashley, who I believe works for you, is joining the Untold Radio Network with Squatch and Holler, which debuts, I believe, tomorrow night.
Yep.
And it's Ashley and Amanda and Roger. Yep, and they're about...
they were on the show, 2 weeks ago? Was that last week or 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago.
So anyhow, but some great people. You obviously have good taste in people, David, because I've gotten to know her. They're just great people to work with.
Great people. Mm-hmm.
Bigfoot people seem to be the best people.
You know, why do people say they aren't? They're the most wonderful. I have never personally run into anybody that wasn't nice.
Me too.
Yeah, good. And it's nice. You know, I like to go to the conferences. Maybe you like to for the same reason. You feel like you're with your people.
All right.
Yeah.
Like you're understood, or, you know, it's just they're open-minded. Most people are open-minded. They want to learn. They're curious about the world. Those are the best people in the world. Curiosity. Yep. All right. So tell us just real quick about your museum, because that's, you know, obviously where you've gained so much of your knowledge is owning this museum and being the curator.
Yeah. So my wife and I moved up here in 2013 from Sarasota, Florida. And we moved up to this little cabin, which is where we still live, on a ridge, surrounded by bears and deers. I mean, we're in the thick of it up here. And we moved up here. I went back to the restaurant business. I was driving truck over the road. And once we came up here, I just said, I can't go back. It's too beautiful up here. I just want to be outside. I don't want to be in the cab of a truck driving back in orange juice back and forth from Florida to California. So I went back in the restaurant business up here, and people kept saying to me, hey, Dave, is there anything interesting to do with the kids up here? My family's coming to visit. You live up here now. What's fun to do? I didn't have any good answers for them, except for maybe go to the orchards and pick some apples.
Yeah.
I kept thinking somebody should really open something up here. So long story short, my wife and I put our heads together, and I was a researcher. I had all kinds of casts. I thought, how interesting would it be to open up a little museum and just kind of educate people and make it a family fun thing. And a building happened to come up. It was almost like it was all planned by somebody.
Just destiny, yeah.
And this building opens up 7 miles from my house in between me and Blue Ridge. And it was very inexpensive to rent. It wasn't in great shape. We spent months. This building used to be an old country western bar, and put what he had in there. And when people found out what we were doing, they started saying, hey, I've got some extra casts. I've got some hair samples. I got this. I'll take it. So kind of researchers kicked in a lot of stuff. And in 2016, we opened, and my wife was kind of nervous. She thought, I'm not sure if this is going to go. And I don't know why. I really don't know. I can't explain it, but I had absolutely no doubts that this was going to take off. And usually I'm a very cautious person. I'm not a big risk taker. But when I was staining walls and putting maps on the wall and making exhibits, making different things, I didn't want this to be like your grandfather's museum where you had to read everything. I wanted it to be so that when you came with your family and your kids and your teenagers, they weren't snoring, right? If you're going to be the one that's going to introduce this subject matter to another generation, you have a big responsibility. You don't want kids to come to your museum and then leave and go, well, that was boring.
Right.
Because that'll be it. That might be the only chance you get to introduce this subject matter to them. So coming from Florida, I took everything I learned from theme parks and museums that I liked. I took the stuff I liked. I left out the filler. Of course, Dr. Meldrum had a wonderful cast collection, so I got several casts from him. And we opened up the doors in February, thinking it was going to be just a little thing and just be me and my wife working. Fellas, let me tell you, there's way more interest in this than you can possibly imagine. We started off, and it was just like we hit the road, and all of a sudden I needed more people. I needed more employees. We now have 7 full-time employees.
Wow.
And we're open 7 days a week. You can't even close. If somebody shows up on a Tuesday when you're off, they're mad. I drove all the way from Cincinnati, so we have to be open 7 days a week. And we went from, I think, 26,000 people our first year to now we're doing about 70 to 75,000 people a year pass through our door.
Wow. Well, think of the impact you have on kids, especially.
Right. And that's the part that's most important to me, because I'm not going to be able to change a lot of adults' minds, but kids, this is and people when I was a kid growing up in Miami and I was watching Skunk Ape and Bigfoot stuff on TV, they kind of did me a favor because they opened my eyes. I used to see park rangers and police officers talking about the skunk ape on TV. And, it was serious. There was no tongue in cheek as much like there is now when the news reports it. And it had impact on me. And I wanted to pay forward that. So I do this. There's nothing cheesy, zero cheesy in there. It's the best I can do, but I have to keep it. I can't tell them. I can't divulge all the scary stuff. I have to keep it on a pretty kind of even level so nobody leaves there terrified to go back to the campsite. You know what I'm saying?
I was watching some video, I don't remember when, but you had a little Monster Quest, something in there for Monster Quest, some masks that were used for reconstructions or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The same guy who made those masks made them for us, yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyhow, but I got a few things I'd love to send you. So
cool. I'll take them. Love it.
Yeah. So anyhow, probably the highlight though is when people want to talk to you. I would imagine they want to tell you why they're there, because I would imagine the average person that has no interest in Bigfoot maybe not stop. Isn't it true that most of your customers know somebody or have had some kind of experience themselves?
Yeah, I think my wife asked me, what if people come in and they want to argue with me about if this is real? And they want
like skeptics.
Know everything I know. And I said, well, we'll just take that on a case-by-case basis. And that was the end of that was 7 years ago. We haven't discussed it yet. And it's never happened. Somebody in the group, it's either the husband or the wife or one of the teenagers, is either interested in this, or some of the husband or wife saw one as a child, or their brother saw one and it's in the back of their mind and they drive, oh, we got to go in there. So there's so many people, and I promise you, there's way more people that see these things. These maps you see, I moved up here, since we opened in 2013. I'm not even opening. I just put the sign up on the front. I'm staining walls, and there's a knock on the door, and there's a guy. That was my first Bigfoot report taken up here at the museum, and we weren't even open yet. And since that's happened, since we opened up, they come in droves. One Saturday, I took so many Bigfoot reports that my mind was killing me. By 5 o'clock, I was thinking, God, don't send one more. I can't take anymore. But my brain, because I learned something really important, is that if somebody's telling you a Bigfoot report, if you grab a piece of paper and a pen, if you grab a camera or a recording, hey, let me get my recorder. Whoa. You have got to just let that person tell you a story. And I used to not have a very good memory, but let me tell you something, my friend. My memory has gotten a little sharper because I have to remember all of these details. I might grab a pen while they're talking. I'll just say, what row was it? 382? I'll just write that down. But the best stories, those folks will not let you record it. And it took me a little while, but I understood that he says either so traumatic for them, or people in the South, they're not transplants. They're born here, raised here. Every friend they have in the world lives here. All their schoolmates, they don't move around a lot. And those people do not want to be ridiculed by everybody in the world that they know and love. So that's one thing about taking these reports, is that you better have a good memory. And then as soon as they leave, you better jot as much down as you can.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I would imagine you get the uneventful reports that are just road crossing, I imagine that's probably the majority of reports, isn't it? Just basic side of the road or road crossing.
Uh-huh.
And then you get the other ones that don't really fit in any category that are probably freaky. But I think you've heard so many strange ones, as we all have, and all even experienced. We've all experienced strangeness. If you're not experiencing something weird, you're not out there.
Right.
Do you have any that you want to recall? Like any of these really ones that kind of like you can't get them out of your head because they kind of haunt you?
I'd say even though most of the stories I take are are, and the girls take tons. I'm not, because I'm not at the museum all the time. I'm actually working on another museum, so I'm not there every day. So the girls take the reports and they send them to me, and I'm fortunate where I can scan through them, and the girls know I'm looking for the unusual elements, and the people, they won't call you on the phone or email you with a strange story because their name's on it. I found that if you want to get the really great stories where they either terrified or there was unusual elements, they're going to tell you to your face, because you can't they can stop you from recording it. And people don't drive 150, 200 miles across 3 states to come and tell you a big fat lie. And a lot of these stories, right, a lot of these stories, they tell you their wife is standing next to them, their children are standing next to them, and that has an impact on the validity of the stories you're taking when their family is standing right there. My friend, I've taken so many strange stories that it's changed me. It's changed the way that I look at this phenomenon, and not in a good way. It's very frightening.
Yeah.
Because I live in, like I told you, I live right in the thick of the woods. There's sightings.
Well, the thing is, you know, like me, I'm extremely open. I have no answers on anything, and I've experienced weird stuff too. But I'm not going to say I'm going to stop researching because of the weird stuff, because whatever it is, when they're here, they're here.
Right.
Let's say that they are this or that, or, you know, paranormal or metaphysical or whatever category you want to put them in. They're still here.
You know, I had a I think it might have been like 2 months we have to open the museum. Right. And I was working the desk, and another researcher was standing there. J.C. Williams was standing there talking to me. And an older couple,
was it J.C. Johnson?
No, this fellow's name's J.C. Williams.
Okay.
Yeah. And this older couple had finished up, and I was standing behind the desk, and J.C. was standing next. We were just talking, and they were getting ready to leave. And they said, "Boy, you got a great museum here, but if you want to hear some great stories, you should talk to my mother." Now, these folks were in their 60s, and so their mother must have been late 80s into her 90s. And I said, "Oh, really? Like what?" And he said, "When I was a baby, before I was born, my older brother, when he was a baby, they lived in a cabin in Hajicek, which is the town I actually live in. And this was back in the 50s. So she said, I assume there was no screens on the window. So it was a hot summer night, and they had the windows open. And the mother, who is 90 now, but she was a young mother then, she hears a commotion, noise coming from the baby's room. So he says she gets up and she walks into the baby's room, opens up the door. To the shock of her life, in there is a wood booger, one of these hairy people. And it had crawled into the window and was holding the baby, and it was trying to breastfeed the baby.
Wow.
And I looked at JC and
okay. Whoa.
I'm like,
that's crazy.
I immediately thought this guy was just yanking my chain. I looked at JC, and we looked at them, and we realized these people were not kidding. They weren't the kidding type, because a lot of them, they're from up here. There's not a lot of humor in this kind of stuff up here. If they're telling you, they're serious about it. And I think I even said to him, are you serious? He said, I'm damn serious. And if you want, I'll actually get my mother. I'll see if I can get her to come in here and tell you that story herself. He said, my brother, unfortunately, is not around anymore. But my mother told me this story, and my brother told me this story. And it really happened right here in LJ. And he said, well, you know, I'll try to get her to come in. And he left with his wife. There was no humor attached to it. They weren't joking. And that was the first time I got a story where I was just like, bam, my jaw hit the ground. And after that, brother, I talked to a guy over by Amicalola State Park who came in with his boss. And this was probably maybe 3 years after we opened up, I'm guessing. And I'm working, and he says, I gotta tell you a story of something that happened to me with these things. That's why I came here. But it's so weird that I actually brought my boss with me to verify, to vouch for me that I'm not kidding, that I'm a good worker, right? I live here. So I knew this was going to be good. So he says, I walk out on my deck. He's right over by Amicalola State Park, which is about maybe 40 minute drive from here. And I can tell you other stories from Amicalola State Park. I get a lot of those as well. So I walk in on my deck. I'm having a cigarette and a cup of coffee. The sun's up. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning. I don't remember what season it was. I'm just sitting there collecting my thoughts, thinking what my day's going to be. And I catch movement from the corner of my eye. And I look up, and there's this person walking along the fence line. And there's a fence that comes from a pasture. And then there's an opening where they drive the tractor in there. And he says, I'm looking at this person, and he's thinking, what the hell is this guy doing walking? He's walking. But he said it had this really strange gliding, like it wasn't bobbing up in town as it was walking. He's looking at it, and he's thinking, geez, that's a big guy. Why is he full? Like you just assume he had a fur coat on or a ghillie suit. And as it comes, because now the fence is between him and it, when it clears around the fence and starts walking right in front of him, he realizes why it looks like that. He says, this thing crossed right across my yard, right past me, never looked at me. And this thing was not touching the ground. That's why it wasn't bobbing. He said it was about 6 to 8 inches above the ground, and he was just gliding right across the ground. He said, I just stood with my cup of coffee. We went right across my yard, went right across the street and down to the other pasture on the other side. And I think this happened maybe a month or two before he came to tell me. I ended up going back to this place. I put cameras. He wanted me to put cameras, so I went and put 3 or 4 cameras. There was a big dumpster. It was at a campground. He thought maybe it was coming to the dumpster, so I put a camera. I didn't catch anything. And that was another strange story. And that kind of played into all these possible explanations why we get these weird stories of these gliding motion.
Well, let's talk about the gliding. Let's kind of focus on that for a little bit, because I've heard so many, stories or encounters. It's just weird. But then of course, I've seen these videos. Maybe you have, David. If not, maybe Jeff can find one of this walk you can do where you looks like you never touch the ground. Like it's such a good illusion. It doesn't look like any of your feet have ever. Can you find something like that, Jeff, on YouTube? Yep. Can you do that? Okay. I want to talk about that because that's just one, I try to debunk everything I hear. I don't care what it is. But they do have a weird walk. They have such weird leg movement as it is. Where if you just look at it and don't really think, it looks like a normal human walking. Mm-hmm. But the legs are doing all of this weird things. They're splaying, they're knock-kneeing, they're angling. They're almost just like a Peruvian horse. Mm-hmm. There's YouTube videos, and you look at a Peruvian horse gait, and they're designed to go up hills, and they're also smooth as silk. Mm-hmm. But they do this naturally. And I remember I was filming a Peruvian horse at a Peruvian horse ranch, and I was filming it with my camera, and I was looking through the viewfinder going, I don't even see the horse's feet touch the ground. It's weird. It's like, what is this gait? And I studied it at home. And then many years later, I got interested in Bigfoot, obviously. And then I started seeing the same patterns with Patty when we would go frame by frame and pose a model. And then I thought, oh my God, it's very similar to a Peruvian horse, which is not your normal human walk, obviously. And so I'm not against thinking they glide and float, but I'm also not against there maybe some almost supernatural walk, complicated walk. Because obviously we don't know. We don't know anything. And you know what I mean? We know, but we don't know. We hear a lot of the data from people, and it is data, but God, it would be nice if we actually knew. So how many reports have you taken that seem like they just float across the road or glided up a mountain? Or
that's the only one I talked that they actually saw that it weren't touching the ground. Okay. But I've talked to a lot of people that said it came up behind them and it didn't make a sound, and they don't know how. Or they saw it and then it fled and it didn't make any sound. Like the leaves didn't rustle. It was they don't know how it took off without making a sound. I talked to a priest who came and told me he was hunting in Oregon before he was a priest, when he was in the military on leave, and he saw was he by himself or was he with a friend? I can't remember if he was by himself, he was with a friend. And they saw a Sasquatch down their shooting range, not their shooting, where they were shooting through the woods.
Right.
And it walked through and it turned around and walked away. And they, as soon as it was gone, they jumped down and started tracking it. And he said the tracks just stopped in the snow. There was nowhere to jump. It just stopped. In the
Yeah,
snow.
that's a real common issue where the trackway ends.
Yeah.
And it's something that I don't know how to address it. And obviously, are they just disappearing? Do they even know they're disappearing? If say they are disappearing, do they even know they're disappearing?
I found it interesting too that during the Pascagoula UFO abduction incident with Hickson and
Yep, down in Louisiana.
Yeah, nice guys. I actually had a chance to talk to the younger one before he passed away. I can't remember his name right now. Nice.
Yeah, Kelvin Parker. And,
that's it, Calvin Parker.
Yep.
These guys, wish to God, they didn't need this stuff.
No.
But those aliens, and that whole thing with the weird spikes coming off of their head, they hovered across the ground. They didn't touch the ground. When they came off the ship, they hovered a foot or so above the ground, and that's how they approached them. And after doing more research and listening to other UFO witnesses, those aliens do the same thing. Some of the Kelly Hopkinsville aliens, they didn't touch the ground. They were hovering across.
Yeah.
So these patterns, you don't have to be exceptionally gifted to put a few patterns together.
Right.
Those things started to gel in my brain amongst another 100.
Well, all of the Mothman sightings too defy gravity. They don't use their wings to fly. They seem to just open them and take straight off.
Right.
They and I hate to admit this, but me and Yvette, we had a Mothman sighting that dived at my car. It was way up in the sky, David, and it dropped. The wings, we could see the wings open, huge, dropped straight down like a spider, stopped right above the freeway, just stopped, and then headed right for my car windshield.
Wow.
And eventually Yvette ducked. And of course, I ducked eventually too, but I hung on an extra second probably. And I humbled me. That experience humbled me about anything, because that shouldn't be living in our forests. It wasn't a forest. Yeah, it just shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be on planet. It shouldn't be able to do it. How do you drop straight down with wings open? You can't.
Right.
It defies, all sorts of physics. But yet, we both saw it, David, and I know we saw it, and
Lucky
I know how
you,
big
boy,
it
I'll
was.
tell you.
No, it wasn't, because it haunts us, and it's
Right.
given Yvette a lot of issues with traveling now.
Oh.
She won't even go with me, even in the car, into forested areas, even on the freeway. It's a problem.
Right. Well, at least you weren't by yourself when you saw it.
I wish I would have been by myself now.
Oh.
But, having her with, at least I know I'm not crazy.
Right.
But we didn't say anything to anybody for years. We just kept our mouths shut. We just, nope. Finally, one day I had enough guts to call Lon Strickler and tell him what happened. And, But my point of the whole story is that it humbled me to know I don't know crap.
Right.
That's all it was a humbling moment. And it's the one where you go, you need to be open about everything.
Right.
Don't be closed-minded.
Right.
Because I was a little bit before that. I will be honest. I'll admit it to you.
So was I.
And so now I'm just like, okay, if that can exist and that can do that, I guess pretty much anything goes, David.
Right.
So, all right. So what other weird, strange stories that don't really fit into any paradigm that maybe kind of shocked you a bit or stuck in your head? I hate to catch you off guard too like this.
Oh, no, that's okay. So I had I'm trying to think if I should tell you about the gold miner that saved his life. I think I'm going to tell you about the fella who came with his wife and kids. And I like this because I didn't talk to him over the phone. These are the stories I've told you. The guy was standing in front of me. When somebody's telling me a story, I'm looking at them. I'm looking where their hands are at. I'm watching their feet, their shoes. I'm watching who they're with, if they're shuffling around, if they're laughing. And I'm looking for any sign where this guy might be having fun with me. And I can tell you right now, it doesn't happen very often. So, and he catches me on a busy Saturday. And it was like maybe a year after we opened, we're busy. We hadn't hired a lot of people yet. So my wife and I were like, we got people coming out, want to talk. There's people going in. I have to do a little talk before I let him in the museum. This guy tours the museum. He's probably about 70. He's with his wife. I assume his son's wife, and 3 kids, little kids, all anywhere from 6 to 8 years old. So there's like 7 of them, I guess. To the museum, they come out, and he says, "Are you the owner?" And I said, "Yeah." She says, I want to tell you a story of something that happened to me before I died. I said, "Okay." So he was very somber, very, very somber. So I kind of blacked everything. There's people who were talking. I just blocked it all out. I said, "What happened?" He says, I used to live up here in LJ. And he says, when I was about 17, I had a van. It was just wasn't a super customized, but it was a van. So this would have been in the 60s, I guess. 70s, I guess maybe 60s or 70s.
Okay.
And he said, I had this kid that lived down the road from me on a farm. And it was very rural back then. And I didn't know him very well, but I knew him in school. And I had another buddy that I knew really well in school, and these 2 sisters that one of them I wanted to date. So we made a plan. We were all going to take my van and go up to Talona Ridge. There's a big RV park up there now. We're going to drive up there with a little cooler of beer and just watch the stars, right? So it's him, these 2 sisters, his good friend, and this kid he doesn't know very well that lives on a farm. Next farm over, but he didn't know him very well. He hadn't been there very long. So they're in the van. They get up to the top. I don't remember if it was dark. I'm assuming it was dark. And he said, we just parked and we're talking. And he said, I haven't even opened the cooler yet to get the first beer out. And he says, I'm talking to the girl in front next to me. She's sitting in the passenger seat, the sister I want to date. The other girl's sitting behind her there's 2 benches on the side of the van and one in the back. He said, my buddy's sitting all the way in the back. The other sister's sitting behind her sister. And this kid I didn't know is sitting right behind me facing the sister. He says, me and this girl, we just got there. We're just talking. And he says, all of a sudden, she looks at the back and her eyes get this big. And she starts to absolutely flip out. And he's like, what in the world? So he glances behind his back around his chair.
Yeah.
Where his buddy is sitting. And I guess there was enough light in the van to see what was going on. Maybe it wasn't completely dark yet. And he says, where this kid was sitting, there's this giant hairy man doing this. Like he's got a shocked look on his face, like they can see me. The kid's not there. This giant hairy man's there.
Okay.
And he says, oh my God, I didn't know what to think. He said, all I knew is I'm getting the heck out of my van. So and his buddy in the back, he's freaking out. And the girl sitting across there, the whole van is freaking out. So this all happened within seconds. He says, I reach for the door handle to open up the door to bail out. And when I do, my hand inadvertently turns on the knob that flicks on the interior light. So now the whole van is lit up.
Oh, no.
He says, just before as I'm bailing out, I take one more glance to make sure whatever this thing isn't reaching for me. And he says, where this thing was sitting, this kid is sitting there now, but it's doing the same thing. It's looking around like, what's going on? What's going on? And he said, it was we all knew what we saw. This kid wasn't there, and in his place was this giant hairy thing. Because there was so much, because my brain was in shock, I neglected to ask him if it was wearing the kid's clothes or was it just covered in hair. So I can't answer. After he left, I wish I'd answered that. I wish I'd asked that, but I didn't. He did give me the 2 girls' names. They still live here in town. His buddy's not around anymore. About a week and a half, 2 weeks after this happened, the kid and his family moved, packed up everything and left. They were gone. The 2 girls had to go to a psychologist in Atlanta. He never saw them for the rest of the year in school. And when he did catch up to him, found out that their mother had to take them to a psychologist so they could sleep because they were hysterical for days and could not go to sleep.
Wow.
So
it poured it into the car? Is that like?
Yeah, but if it poured it in the car, where was the kid? If it,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's weird.
And now I keep reading all these and all these stories I had read in the past about Bigfoot's wearing clothes. Bart Nunley, his mother, saw a creature looking at the window and it was wearing a blouse. I talked to a guy, him and his buddy were driving back to bring his brother back to a base in California, and they're driving through big cornfields, and they could see this thing running through the field, and they're like, "What the hell is that thing?" And it was running as fast as the car was running, and as they could see they were going to intersect on the road, and as this thing came out of the cornfield, they were shocked. It was a giant hairy man wearing a pair of coveralls. He said this thing was so big that when it hit the side of the car, it could have reached over and touched me in the window. That's how big this thing was. Wearing a pair of coveralls.
That's just weird. But then again, you think people do put their clothes on clotheslines. It could, see people wearing them and go, hey. So.
Yeah, I just found out that there are stories of. I'm trying to think. What was it? Was it the Monroe County Bigfoot? I can't remember. There's stories of Bigfoot in this one area, and I can't remember. I just came across it the other day, and they were wearing jeans. No damn Bigfoot is going to squeeze on a pair of jeans. Will he put on a shirt? Maybe.
I don't know.
Wrap up in a blanket. But you know how hard it is for us to put a pair of jeans on?
Yeah.
I have a story where the kid was gone and it was there. I'm like, oh my God, please. I don't want to go here. I'm just a regular guy. I have the same education you have. I'm just blessed enough to be in a position where people bring me all these stories and I take them in. And I don't have preconceived notions. I don't go, because I was raised this way, I don't believe that. I was raised to give everybody a chance to tell you the truth.
Right.
Also raised that if I see a rattlesnake on the trail where I'm hiking, I just don't walk by and leave it for the next guy to come across. I either get the rattlesnake off the trail or I wait for the next guy to come up and I say, watch out, there's a rattlesnake right there. Make sure you tell the next. That's just the way I was raised.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell these stories, because I don't want to write a book. I'm busy.
Don't these things have a mental, a mental effect? Does it ever make you, for me, it makes me fearful of, I'm just being honest.
Right.
It makes me fearful of walking in the forest alone. Or when you've seen things that are so bizarre, you're like, I tell people all the time on the show, I'm afraid to take the garbage out on Wednesday night.
Oh,
I'm not joking. I mean, people think I'm kidding, brother. But I do, but my head's on a swivel.
You know how many flashlights I had by my door? I ain't talking about them little dinky ones. I got them pistol ones.
Yeah.
I got 5 by the front door, 2 in the shed. I never walk outside, and I don't just walk out there like a big dummy. I'm scanning the roof, because when you hear this stuff, you realize you have a little better idea what's going on.
Yeah, if you don't blow it off and actually take it in, you take it in and you digest it and you go, holy crap, they were telling the truth.
Right.
And that means our world is full of things that we don't understand. It doesn't mean we can't, what I don't like about the paranormal end of it is it seems to, I've had too many friends or fellow researchers just completely stop researching, like they give up because something's to a point we don't understand it. I don't like to see that.
Right.
I want to see people stay curious, and not give up, and not say, well, gee, I'm not going to hang camera traps,
right,
or I'm not going to try to fool them because they're aliens or they're. Yeah, no, we still should try to get information. I think. Obviously, they're getting information on us. Right? So why not try to get information on them? It isn't going to hurt. I don't believe in harming anything.
Right.
I don't want to harm it, even just the smallest creature. I don't like to harm. I don't want to harm anything. but I like to learn about things. I don't think it hurts so bad to pick a bug up and look at it and let it go. Or almost all the time I catch and release fish. I don't want to harm them.
Right.
Unless I'm really hungry and I'm going to eat them. Fine. Okay. That's life. But on the same token, I don't see there's harm in trying to, if they are paranormal. What I mean by paranormal is probably paranormal is sending you back, David, with an iPhone back 100 years, you'd be paranormal, right?
That's it. I agree with you. You're absolutely right. It's just science we don't understand.
It's just science we don't get yet. That's right. So why is it? So then why do we have to judge it so harshly then? I don't believe we should judge it harshly. Because we don't get something, there's so many things we don't get. My God, we don't even understand the damn forest yet.
Right.
We have no clue what goes on in a forest.
Yep.
So anyhow, I wanted you to kind of get to know me. So I'm not judgy. Some people think I am because I work on legitimate science or no, I just want answers like everybody in our chat. Flat said it really good and I put it up. No, it's like way back. Find that comment from Flat. He just said that's why we're all here. We're trying to figure out the puzzle.
Yeah.
And I am curious. And do you still have your thirst to learn, David?
Oh yeah. I've got camera traps set up on a tree where a young one was seen a couple years ago.
Well, good for you. Good for you.
I know.
Well, that's why I do Tech Breakdown. Every week I try to throw out new ideas to people, and maybe it might affect something in the future. Everything we do affects. I believe in the butterfly effect. Everything we do affects. God knows it might affect the whole world.
That's right.
And we don't even know it. Just driving to the grocery store one night might affect the entire world. It's crazy.
Yep.
All right. So the nursing one, I'm a little curious about. Let's back up to the one that this. Was it a woman or man saw the Bigfoot trying to nurse his baby?
It was the baby's mother.
It was a mother.
Yeah.
So how did that story kind of resolve itself? Did the Bigfoot run off?
As soon as she walked into the bedroom, it looked at her and she looked at it and she realized what she was doing.
Right.
She said it dropped the baby into the crib.
Okay.
It dove out the window.
Wow.
That's why I'm assuming there was either no screens, or maybe if she never did come in, but or it pushed the screen in and out to get in and out. I don't know for sure, but it dove head first out the window.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned, Overax mentioned, could there be real psychosomatic effects from researching Bigfoot? Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. But in my life, it's mostly been positive, I think. I mean, I feel like it's brought me together with a lot of people I would have never met.
Yep.
It's made me a lot of friends, a lot of camaraderie. I think I know for a fact, even though I didn't know it before, but now I know it now because those kids that watch Monster Quest and Legitimate Science have grown up to call me and say, I got my degree in science because of your program. And I hear that over and over. It was funny. I was interviewing a guy who was helping us LiDAR the entire Freeman site for Legitimate Science. We had a big LiDAR machine on it was a giant drone. And we LiDAR'd the entire forest and all around. And there was a scientist there to observe this measurement stuff going on. And I interviewed him and on camera and asked him how he got interested in this topic or why is he here, because he had so many degrees. And he goes, because of Legitimate Science. And it's just like, wow, that's so cool. So this topic gets kids like interested in the world and science. So I think that alone is worth it.
Right. I agree.
Tell those wholesome stories around the campfire. Yeah, there's a little fear in it, but that wholesome fear stimulates curiosity, I think.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. Oh my God, that story that you just told with the nursing thing is just freaking me out. I'm literally freaked out. I'm picturing that going, what in the world? Because you know how protective you'd be of your own child.
Yeah.
Right? That must have been a scary moment. But yet the Bigfoot didn't hurt the baby.
No, and it implies a very strong biological connection between them and us. Because you don't hear about a raccoon coming in trying to nurse a human baby, even though there's stories of wolves, I guess, nursing human children. But this thing came in the window and felt a strong connection to a human child. And I hear that a lot, right? You hear stories of these things carrying what looks like a human kid, or walking with a kid, like the kid is a wild kid with them.
Right.
I hear their stories. So when I hear these stories, I ask what are the implications of that. So I try to make some connections. I don't make too many connections until I hear the other one.
Right.
The other one. So then you see a pattern. It's a little easier to make the connections. But
well, let's jump right to it. I don't mean to put you on the spot, and I'm sure you have all sorts of theories. But what is your strongest theory as to one? What is their environmental benefit? There's usually every creature seems to, especially animals. We humans don't, but animals all benefit the forest. They do things that help things. Every little creature helps the forest. So that's one part of the question. But what do you think these things are? What's their purpose?
Well, I can tell you, I don't know what their purpose is. And I don't even care to try to. I have no idea what their purpose is. They're not running the show. They are the serf of somebody else. There's a third between them and us. There's a third unseen entities that are controlling them.
Do you think so? Okay.
Doing the bidding of somebody else.
Okay, that's a great theory.
Yeah. So in my research, I'm not so much interested in all the footprints and all that anymore. I'm trying to get the patterns as to what they're seen with.
You're trying to see the forest instead of the trees.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt in my mind that they have a connection here on Earth, because they drink our water, they eat the roadkill, they eat the animals, they eat the plants.
Right.
We can't even go to Mexico and drink the water without getting sick,
right,
let alone another planet. So they have a strong connection here, but somebody else is helping them. Somebody else is laid the ground rules down for these animals. And I don't think they're here all the time. I think they can come and go. I don't know if they control their come and go, or if somebody else controls it. I don't know. They've never been, as far as I know, I've never heard a story where they operate any machinery. Other than holding an orb in their hand, I've heard stories of that, but I'm not aware of them wearing like a belt or using any kind of alien technology.
Right.
That's why they're almost like the lapdog of somebody else. And this somebody else is who I'm looking for. I've already found Bigfoot. I had him beaten on my wall when I lived in an apple orchard. I've seen 2 skunk apes in Florida.
You have?
I
Okay.
don't have to prove to anybody anymore that they're real.
Right.
I'm trying to find their bosses.
Well, I've had sightings too. Thank God, both with Yvette.
Oh my God.
Or actually 3 of them now.
Poor lady.
But it's, poor Yvette. Oh God. So you're looking at the big picture, and you think they're maybe being controlled by some other entity. But while they're here, they seem so restrained. Right. You know what I mean by restrained. They'll pound on your wall. They'll do things. They might break into an empty cabin, but they don't really. I mean, I'm not aware of any stories of personal people where they've been hurt or hit in the head with a rock, or. Right. And I've had rocks thrown right by me, and they just always seem to miss.
Right. Lots of stories of. I talked to a guy in Florida who had one standing in front of him. He was checking his hog trap, and it was walking parallel him, and he turned around the corner. It was standing right in front of him. It was right in front of him, and he said, and I've heard this over and over again. It was screaming at me, and he said, I could tell this thing wanted to kill me.
Wow.
It couldn't. And when you hear these stories over again, it didn't come in the house. It could have come. It rattles the door, but it didn't come in the house. They have rules they have to follow. And some of them don't like us, and some of them don't like us a lot.
Is there maybe, I don't mean to interrupt, but is there maybe a religious aspect to your thoughts? There's the story somebody just had mentioned, the Nephilim, and some of these biblical stories. Is there any possibility there that you think?
Yeah,
possibly?
Absolutely. There's absolutely a possibility that
right
that have something to do with the Nephilim, or they are the Nephilim. I don't know for sure yet. My wife, God bless her, she's very much more into the religious part of the spirituality. I'm more into the spirituality. I don't attend church, even though I was raised a Catholic. But I pray every single day, and I thank God for all the blessings of my family and my grandkids. But I don't attend church. But yeah, so I'm very familiar with the stories of the Nephilim.
Yeah.
Enoch, the story of Enoch, and Enki in the Sumerian texts. So yeah, there's no doubt they've been here a long time, and probably longer than us.
Yeah, and I tend to think that. Do you think there's more than one type, or do you think they're all the same?
Oh, there's definitely more than one type.
Okay. Do you want to expound on that a little bit, David?
So I'm sure you've heard John Carlson and Adam Davies' story. It's 2016 at the Soha incident.
Yeah.
And they were only about this tall. They were like, I think, 3.5, 4 feet tall.
Do you want to just relate that, kind of do a log line on that story?
Oh, yeah. So, and I was gobsmacked. And then also when I got the first time I got a chance to sit down.
Because if you know Adam is like, he's just a no BS guy. I mean, he's
no BS guy.
He's not going to lie.
They're at the Southern Oregon habituation area, which has been corrupted since then, so you can't go back there anymore.
Yeah.
But John Carlson and John Carlson, Adam Davies are there with Matt Johnson, and it was getting late, and Matt Johnson went back to his tent, and these two guys, they weren't allowed to have flashlights. I think Matt Johnson had some really strong ground rules, and I think one of them, Adam, was smoking, so he had to get away from him to have a cigarette. And while they're over there talking away from the campfire, they see a light appear at the only entrance to come into this little area. It's not even a campground. It's just an area, or it's a flattened area. There's only one way in and one way out. And there's just a light. It's not a headlight. There's no sound. And it's right, 50 feet, 60 feet from them. And this light opens up like this, and they're both looking at it. They're looking at one another like, what in the world? Now, these guys aren't portal people. They're just looking for Bigfoot with Matt Johnson.
No, Adam's the opposite of that.
Right. And as this thing opens up, they can actually see a red sky on the other side of this red thing, of this. Now it appears to be for no other, there's no better word than a portal. And out jump these two little hairy beings with shiny white teeth and super red eyes, and they charge at these guys, and they have no weapons. And they're watching these things run across the gravel to them. And all he had was a flashlight, John. And he hit him with the flashlight, hoping he could see him better. And as soon as the flashlight hit the scene, the whole thing just faded away. And they're sitting there talking. They're calling Matt Johnson over. Matt comes over. They tell him what happened. Matt says, I'm just going to go to bed. Which I thought that was really weird that he wasn't like going to partake in what was going on. So he goes back to bed, and the whole scene happens again. The portal opens up. They watch it again. These two beings come out and they charge him. And as soon as they hit him with that flashlight, that's very interesting. It goes away. It happened like 3 times. It just kept replaying itself over and over. And every time you hit him with that wavelength of that flashlight, the whole thing dissipated.
That's weird.
And my jaw hit the floor.
I had to call Adam personally and have him tell me that whole story. I just called him. I said, Adam, okay, tell me everything. Yes. And my son Blaine was with me, and we listened. And Adam is just like, he goes, I didn't believe in any of this. I'm just telling you what I saw.
Right. Right.
And
God bless him. I'm so glad he told us.
Yeah, it took guts for him to come forward.
Yeah, it did. And he didn't want to. And John, I've spoken to John Carlson about it as well. They of course, corroborated each other's story because they weren't like, they were right next to each other. And it's funny, when I was at a Georgia Bigfoot conference, this is along the same lines. over in Dahlonega in 2012, I think. 2012, 2011, I don't remember. But I got to meet Ron Moorhead and a couple other really super researchers. My God, it was amazing. Anyways, I look over and there's Matt Johnson. You can't miss Matt. He's like, what, he's 6'10" or something?
He's a big guy, yeah.
He's a big dude. And he's sitting there. And I happen to know the researcher, Scott Taylor in Washington, that took the report. So I texted Scott. I said, "You're never going to believe this. Matt Johnson sitting right." And all I knew from Matt Johnson's story was the story that he told the media. I just watched that. I was walking with my family in Oregon Caves, and I went up the hill to go pee real quick, and then I see this thing walk between one tree and the other, and I freaked out, went back, we left. That's the story I heard. So I texted Matt, or Scott Taylor, the original investigator. Super nice guy.
Did those guys have a therm?
Who have a therm?
Adam. When Adam was at that.
I don't know if he had a therm.
I don't think so.
I don't know. But so Scott says, and he says, ask him what really happened. I said, what do you mean? He said, yeah, ask Matt Johnson, Dr. Johnson, ask him what really happened. I was like, wow, that's kind of weird. So I got my wife sitting next to me. Matt Johnson's over there with his wife. And we have a break. I go over and introduce myself. Hey, I'm Dave. I'm a BFR investigator here for Georgia. So, I'm talking to Scott. He said, for me to ask you what really happened. Now, at this time, I had no clue, no interaction with any of the strange things that were going on. And he looks at me dead in the eye, and he starts to tear up. I'm like, whoa, okay, what's going on here? And his wife hears me asking, and she starts to rub his back. And he looks off like he doesn't really want to tell me. But I think the fact that Scott Taylor, I didn't just ask him about the Scott said for me to ask you that question. So he got the okay. So he tells me the story where he goes up the hill. This is what started the whole thing for him. And he's just peeing on a tree or something. And he sees movement out of his eye. He looks at a tree and he sees like the reflection, like a mirage on a hot road. He sees this, there's nothing there, but all of a sudden there's this mirage like heat rising from the road, and there's squatting down a Bigfoot looking at his family. And it doesn't see Scott, it doesn't see Matt Johnson. And he sees this thing. He says, you don't understand. I used to teach people that said they saw. I'm not a Bigfoot guy at the time. I used to laugh at people that said they saw Bigfoot. When I see this thing, I go like that. I can't help it. I have this involuntary inhalation when I'm shocked at what I see. And it turns and looks at me. And now we're looking at each other. And he says, as it looks at me, it turns back to my family. And here's this mirage thing again. And it's gone. It disappears. It cloaks, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's the first time I heard that. And the impact was profound on me, because now he's full crying, man. He's panicking, and his wife is trying to control himself. He's a big dude, and his wife's rubbing his back. And I'm like, man to man, we know when somebody's BSing us. And man to man, we know when somebody's telling us the truth. You get to a certain age when you can smell BS. This guy's not BSing me. And this is in broad daylight. This wasn't 100 yards across the end of a field, or this wasn't a story somebody told. This happened right in front of him. So when Matt Johnson took Adam Davies and John Carlson to his special spot, that had more weight on me, because I already knew that Matt Johnson had a real encounter with something that we cannot explain. And all these things that I hear, I can go on and on about all these crazy stories. That the fact is that the reason that the most hardcore scientists will refuse to look at this thing, because I promise you 100% that whatever the truth is, it's going to sound like science fiction. It's going to be so far out of our wheelhouse. It'll have no resemblance to anything we were taught in school, biology class, or anything like that. I promise you that if we ever live long enough to get the truth, it's going to sound absolutely insane.
Well, what's cool is finally, and I'm getting old, but I'm finally seeing the future. You know what I mean? Robots are coming, AI. Finally, I mean, there was really been no change my whole life. Not much. Yeah, I had cars when I was born. They had colored TVs on, and whatever. But now I think, and we've got government employees coming forward saying a lot of weird things, and we have Congress people coming forward saying weird things. So we're almost like in a new era, and I hope we live long enough to see, maybe get some at least clues and answers,
Right.
To things like, what in the world did Adam see? I've heard the portal story, at least 10 times from different witnesses. And especially when you have two witnesses and you hear the same damn story, it's got a lot of weight.
Right.
Two guys sitting on a deer stand and they see a portal open up and they see a creature step out. Well, that's kind of powerful.
Right.
When you know them both and you know damn well they're not lying to you.
And Cole McKeeler wrote that about his book in the Hunt for Skinwalker Ranch, where the two investigators, one with some kind of very sensitive camera and one with vision, were looking down the hill and saw that thing open up, and out crawled this humanoid through a suspended cave, or not cave, but a suspended, like a wormhole, and it lumbers out with its elbows and steps out into the field, and lumbers off, and they're like, I'm not staying here. This thing's out here somewhere. And so there's other stories of this. Have you ever heard the story of the portal story? I call it a portal story, but what was his name? He was hiking the Pacific Coast Trail. Not Larry Kelm. That's his name. Larry Kelm. If you get a chance, Google the Larry Kelm Bigfoot or Larry Kelm encounter.
How do you spell his last name?
K as in Karen, ELM, Larry Kelm.
Got it.
Sharon Eby took the report at a BFRO expedition with her husband at the time, and this guy that was on the expedition told him this story. They'd never heard anything like it before, but they were good enough to write it down, and I think he even signed it. I don't know where Larry Kelm is at now. I don't know if he's still with us or not, but he was just hiking on the Pacific. It was a beautiful sunny day. And as he's walking down this trail, all of a sudden the sounds sound a little different, and he feels like a pressure change in his head. And he takes a step, and then he feels the pressure. He's momentum because you're hiking. So it wasn't like just walking real slowly. And he took another step, and then the plants around him started to look differently. And it went from a cool day to a very warm. It got very warm and humid immediately on the next step. And he took another step, and that's when he realized that he was not on the trail anymore. He was in some kind of a jungle, some kind of other place, and he got this overwhelming fear of dread hit him like a ton of bricks. And he didn't take another step. He immediately started going back, and he says, as I started stepping back, I saw this hand just miss me, this big hand. And I think he said it was a really white hand with white hair on it. Wow. And as he's backing up, it just grazed his cheek. And he heard in his head, as he was going backwards, he heard this in his head, gotcha. That's what he heard in his head, gotcha. And he took a step back, and the pressure started to relieve. He took another step back. And as he took the third step back, he could see what he walked into. There was this shimmering patch. He didn't see it walking in. That's why he thinks something laid a trap for him, because he didn't see it walking in. He only saw it when he was coming backwards. So somehow somebody needed to put this thing right in front of him at the exact time so he could not see it as he stepped into it. But as he came back a couple more steps, he could see the shimmering patch right above the trail. And he took off and ran. I think he said, if I'm trying to remember the story, I think he hiked like a day and a half to get to that point. And he was back to his truck in like 4 hours or something. He just
do you think this is kind of the answer to all these missing people, where because I've heard some survivors where they claim they're on a trail and all of a sudden they don't recognize anything. And the smart ones have stayed put. They're like, just stay in this spot, don't leave, even though they didn't recognize anything and they found themselves off the trail. That whole thing is crazy too. And I know Bigfoots get blamed for that, which it could be true. But on the same token, I mean, there could be so many things that are taking people. It could be aliens. It could be Bigfoots. Could be just time warps, glitches. That story you just told is beyond creepy. Like
we tend to want to make it one thing. We tend, because we're humans, we want to make it simple. But in fact, I think what's going on here, there's a multitude of phenomenons that are they're happening around us all the time.
Right.
And if you open one of these, if you open a museum where you live, are you in Missouri?
I'm in Minnesota.
Minnesota, I'm sorry. If you opened up one in a rural area in Minnesota, you'd be flooded with these kind of, you'd be flooded with reports
I
too.
can imagine. That's probably what we're going to end up doing, right, Jeff?
My gears are turning all of a sudden.
Jeff just sold his business and he's looking for a whole new life to reinvent.
Yeah, I'm unemployed and kind of open to doing just about anything. So
it's amazing. I'm blessed. I'm blessed because some things I wasn't aware of as a younger man, I'm aware of them now, and it's really expanded my brain a lot. And I know what's important. You know.
Well, you don't have to work. I mean, every day for you is just. Like,
I do this for a living.
It's you. It's
right.
So that's kind of what I do too. I just do what I love, and I don't go to work. I work so many hours, but it doesn't seem like work to me. I look forward to it. I get excited about it. There you go, Jeff. There.
I tell you,
the Minnesota Bigfoot Museum.
Could happen.
I can see that.
It's a lot of work there.
I'll get you started. I got a big collection I can donate right here.
I have a pretty good idea. I'm thinking about that. That's interesting.
All right, stop.
My gears are turning.
Stop thinking about it. Okay. All right, I'm gonna throw some words at you and some phrases, and just kind of tell me anything there you want to talk about. Okay.
Okay.
If there's not, we'll just move on. Do you think there's more interest now in the Bigfoot mystery than ever? Or do you think it's like grown? How many percent, if at all? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's way, and I think, and you have to give credit where credit is due. I think the Finding Bigfoot crew really propelled this into the mainstream.
Yeah.
And Monster Quest.
So many good documentaries. Seth Breedlove is making a lot of the small town monsters documentaries. And I think what's important is that there's witnesses on. They're not just telling stories, but witnesses themselves. That's, of course, the best part of any show. And that gives people, when they see people on TV telling stories, it gives people, you know, the courage to tell their stories.
Right.
So I think with the advent of so many amazing documentaries and Monster Quest, of course, holy cow, that was a huge, I've never missed an episode of that.
Yeah.
And I think people have the courage to finally come out and tell their stories. So there's way more interest in it now.
Do you think, when you say way more, do you think it's doubled from 10 years ago, 20 years ago?
I think
so. Quadrupled.
Quadruple, okay.
Yeah, it has to, because we just hardly get any non-believers. Everybody that comes to the museum, it just seems like everybody has an open mind, or at least most of the people in the group.
Yeah.
Because we just don't have any, there's nobody wants to throw around a whole lot of, wow, prove this to me. It just doesn't happen, ever.
How about percentage of reports that make it to the public? What do you think the percentage of reports?
What a profound question that is, in ways. So I have two newspapers. I've got one in LJ and one in Blue Ridge. And I post on our Facebook page about local reports up here all the time. Walking right down 515, the guy hit the brakes and locked up his brakes right next to it. Up a lady in LJ that saw one standing outside her window early in the morning, looking in the window at her, and she just stared at it, looked like a little ape man. I can't tell you how many stories I've posted from up here in Blue Ridge. The police officers have been here. I have to be kind of quiet about it. Let's just say I've had a lot of police officers come and tell me their stories from this area. Not one time has any of these newspapers ever contacted me in 8 years. Hey, can you tell me, I heard you're taking some local. Not once. They've never contacted me. And people come to the museum and go, how come I never hear about that? Well, you're going to have to ask your newspapers why they don't find this newsworthy. Because I post them out there, and the people in the local. I love posting, and then people share them in the local Facebook page. The newspaper never contact me. They either find it not newsworthy. I don't know what the problem is. So, and I've taken an amazing amount of reports when I was with the BFRO. The first couple reports I took, they refused to publish them. And I left town with my wife. We went and got a hotel room, and I sat with it cost me, and I'm not complaining, but I put my word. I left town, got a hotel for 2 days to meet with the witness, to go to the place where it happened. And if there's any elements of unusual things in there, they wouldn't publish them, or they made me take them out. And I go, well, why wouldn't it be much of an investigator if I was just taking stuff out because you didn't like it? Why would I do that?
Yeah.
What's my point of doing this? And after like round 5 of that, I just finally said, what's this? And then I found other investigators. It's the same thing. They get a dog man story. Oh, we're not publishing that. But, I met the people that saw it. It was brought in. Now it's hallucination. So you become to realize that a lot of good information is being withheld for the public for a myriad of reasons.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting comment. We got to address this. It says, honestly, anybody making documentaries about Bigfoot is full of crap. I can't think of one person that's genuine besides the Camping and Sasquatch channel.
Huh.
And of course, I take issue with that because a documentary covers so much info, eyewitnesses,
right,
science. Yeah, it could be wrong, but it's at least we're trying. So I'd love to see Stone Picker make his own. Try to make one better.
Right. I've never heard of Camping with Sasquatch channel. I'm not familiar with
that. Exactly. So I don't know. I love comments like that. They're just so broad. I don't mind hearing them, but that's just seems like a very strange attitude to have.
Mm-hmm.
Strange. Because boy, he's insulting a lot of people, including all the witnesses that are in the docs.
Yeah, and I think
so. Documentaries, okay, hold on here. Documentaries never get it right because their goal is to make money. Wrong. They're here, Stone Picker. Here, buy into this one.
I know, right?
I did Legitimate Science, and I was in debt for almost 28 years on that, and just recently broke even. Oh yeah, I did it to make money. Yeah. You can ask Matt Moneymaker. We did that because we wanted information out.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
Well,
end of story.
Everybody does everything to make money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's half the things
even that isn't
money.
wrong.
People got to make a living. What's I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Doesn't corrupt you making money.
You got to make a living. I just don't see that as.
It'd be like David going, his museum. Everything is museum's fake because he charges, an admission to get in his museum. He's got electrical bills to pay,
the bills.
insurance to pay, blah blah blah.
You got 7 employees. You got to pay them.
He's got to pay people. And when you make a documentary, obviously you're coming from a very, very ignorant stance.
Right.
And I remember when I wanted to have Discovery pay for all of Legitimate Science, they only gave me half the money that we needed. So I had to finance the rest. And I thought, well, it would get paid hopefully within a year or two, and it didn't. Mm-hmm. And I just had to carry that debt for almost 20 some years. And when my boys called me and said, hey, we finally broke even. I'm like, okay, yeah, well, I did it for the money.
Right.
And yeah, it's just not true. It's not true. I wish I do this podcast. I don't make a penny. I've never taken 1 penny from podcasting 250 episodes and spend 12 hours a week. Not 1 penny have I personally ever taken.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I'm here to learn. I'm here to share what I've learned. I'm here to gather information. That's it. So you could say that about anything. So I disagree 100% respectfully.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very respectfully. Would love to have you in the audience. Trust me.
Yeah.
Love having you here. But I'd love to talk to you on the phone for about 3 hours. I'll straighten you right up about making money in this. Oh, God. It's funny.
I don't think anyone's getting rich.
Yeah, no. Okay. North Georgia Sasquatch activity. Why is North Georgia so active and not maybe the mid part or the. What are your theories on that? If these things are, like even being controlled, why do they need a certain environment? That's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. It just seems like North Georgia is more active because there's people that live out here that are researchers. There's more researchers. It's the same in Tennessee. I go to Kentucky to visit my sisters. They see my car. I stop at the gas station, I pump a car in my truck with the emblem. Hey, they want to tell me about their Dogman and Bigfoot sightings. There's nothing special. It's the same thing in rural Tennessee, rural Kentucky, Minnesota, Mississippi, Louisiana. I take stories from all over the country. There's nothing special about North Georgia. I think it's maybe because the museum's here, and I get a lot of stories that people will drive. They're not too far from here, so it just seems like it, but it's because most of the stories I get are from my area. It's going to be the same thing in Tennessee and Kentucky, maybe even more so. That's why I say there's way more sightings out there than you can wrap your brain around, but people either don't know where to go, or they told their wife or their brother and they laughed at them, so they shut up about it. Or they don't want to lose their job. They have an important job. I've talked to people like that as well. That have an important job will tell me the story, and I can't even share those stories with anybody, including lots of police officers. I can't tell the story because I'll tell you where it happened, and when you're too general about it, it loses its validity. You have to be real general about it. So it's just better not to talk about it.
And I know you've got opinions on like possible migration, and I would imagine if every animal has to follow food sources. I would imagine they eat, and then weather is kind of an important role. I would think that affects food supply. What are your thoughts just on the whole gamut of migration? Because I've thought about it, and I'm like, well, out west in like British Columbia, they don't really need to. They can just go down to the ocean, maybe 50 miles, and then go up to the high peaks in the summer. And then, of course, Minnesota, we get 40 below weather.
Interesting. What are they doing up there? What are the
exactly
primates doing way up in the snow belt, Alaska?
Yeah.
How are they, if they don't have huts and they don't build a fire, how are they making it up there? And I'm not so sure about this migration. I used to think that too. When I was in Florida, I would go on Google and I would get topographical maps, and I would find the greenways to get from here to here. That's all city, but here's a green. I would set cameras up across that greenway. If anything was passing through there, I'd get them. I never got anything. I live 20 minutes from some of the state's biggest apple orchards. Nobody calls me from an apple orchard to tell me they have a Bigfoot stealing their apples. People have gardens all over here. Not one person that's ever called me said they found a Bigfoot. They saw it because it was in their garden eating. I have a garden here. Nobody. I don't get any calls from anybody who said they were taking their fruit off their fruit trees. Nobody who said it was stealing stuff out of their garden. So, and I know they eat the food here. Don't get me wrong. I know they eat roadkill. They chase deer down. They eat pigs. I know all that. They'll take farm animals. And we know they need a lot of food. I mean, especially when they travel in small groups. If there's 3 or 4 of them, you can imagine how much food they need to consume. And finding that much food in the wild has got to be difficult. Yeah. Very difficult. So why aren't they raiding more gardens? Why aren't they picking? Why don't people catch them on their these orchards? Call me because they're stealing all their apples. I mean, so I'm not so sure. Do they snack while they're here? I think that's all they're really doing. Is the short time they're here, they're looking for a snack. But they know to stay away from the gardens. They know not to be observed from people's houses, even though it happens on occasion.
Yeah,
but we should have more. I should get a lot more of reports of them stealing stuff out of the garden or out the front yard picking the trees. I know it does happen.
Do you get more reports in Georgia at certain times of year, or is it pretty much stable all year?
What's that?
Do you get more reports like a certain time of year in Georgia, or is it just kind of the same all year?
No. Yeah, I tried to make a pattern. I tried to say, well, maybe they're up here during apple season. No, they're here in the summer. They're here in the summer when the gardens, the apples aren't ready yet. We have peach here too. I go to these orchards all the time. And I kind of kick it with people. I got my shirt on. Not one person at the time has anybody ever said, hey, Tamir, I want to tell you a story. My dad was. Now, I took a story from a guy who was a citrus inspector for the state of Florida. And he saw a Bigfoot, never gave him a thought, but he saw a Bigfoot darting from tree to tree in a orange orchard down in Florida. And I didn't get the impression he was picking apples. I think it was passing, or not apples, but oranges. So it was in an orchard, but he didn't tell me it was like taking a lot of oranges. It wasn't picking oranges or anything like that. So to be fair, I did see one report from an orange orchard. I don't get anything. They're not people's gardens. They're not stealing the stuff off the tree. I haven't got any. I have 1,000 reports here. I've got them stacked up. I have so many reports there. I pick up my computer. Oh, there's 3 there. Go to the museum. There's 4 in my box. Every day. This is every day. Nothing from gardens. Nothing from orchards.
It's pretty wild.
Stealing pies off their porch. It's like they need a lot of food, but I'll be damned if I know where they're getting all of it. And I tell you, they're not getting it from bark and roots. That's way too much for all of these creatures. And they're not way out in the remote. They're outside of Atlanta. They're outside of Blue Ridge.
They seem to come into the edges quite often. I mean, the edges are kind of where it's
very
at.
Close, my friend. Very close. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely where it's at. In fact, I think that's where most of the animals are. They're near the edges of the farms, the suburbs.
It's easier. The food.
When I go out into the wilderness by float plane, get dropped off, we don't see animals. We don't see birds. We don't see anything because there's no edges. It's just forest. They're just. It's weird. It's kind of made me think. We'll go 10 days and only see one seagull. And people don't think about. I could take a bike ride here and see a flock of wild turkeys, a fox, tons of rabbits, tons of deer. You know what I mean? But you go in the middle of the forest, you're not going to see anything.
Right.
So it's kind of a fascinating thought that most people don't think about.
Mm-hmm.
A monotonous forest don't necessarily have a lot of animals in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just so big, and until you've been out there, it's hard to understand. And until you've been there, it's so different. It's just nothing else. It's like nothing else in the world. That's why people get addicted to it, because it's such a special thing that you can't experience in the town. You just can't. Yeah.
All right, moving on here. Let's see here. We talked about kind of what you think their purpose is, but I don't think I got an answer from you, David. What do you think that maybe their purpose is?
Their purpose here is whatever their boss tells them to do.
Okay, that's as good as the answer as any. Okay.
That boss doesn't share that with us.
I got you.
I don't know.
That's fascinating.
Whatever their boss tells them, their purpose is their purpose. And I don't know anybody that knows what the answer to that is.
What are your thoughts about orbs and Bigfoot? We were up to Snellgrove last summer, and we had some Bigfoot activity, but not much. But everybody saw red orbs, except me. Everybody did.
Huh.
Like they were zipping all over in front of the windows and out. Nice, good sized orbs close to people. And I don't know, is there a connection, do you think?
Oh, absolutely.
You do?
I've never seen an orb. I've never seen one, but I know a lot of people that have seen them. And the stories of these orbs go back a long time. They're floating, and they're red ones and blue ones and green ones and white ones. And I don't know if I've ever heard of yellow ones.
Right.
I thought it was interesting when I heard the story that I can't recall where and when it happened, but a Bigfoot walking through the woods holding one of these orbs. And I just heard a story that happened up in North Carolina at the the forest, not the I can't remember the name. It's a famous. This is where Mike Green got his thermal footage of Squeaky in that forest up there, and they were camping up there, and they had 2 orbs above their head. And the father was looking at, he could see faces in the orbs looking down at them. Embedded in the orbs, there's like a face in there. So I don't know what it is. That's why I say whatever the truth to this, there's a connection between Bigfoot and these orbs. That's why I say, whatever it is, it's huge. That whatever the answer to these phenomenons, and they're all they all have tendrils that go back to the same source. Whether it's, and I know this is going to sound strange, whether it's the Loch Ness monster or lake monsters that are all over the world in landlocked lakes, some of which freeze over, and we can't find any of those in these lakes, all over the place. And Dogman and Bigfoot and UFOs and orbs, these all have tendrils that lead back to that source.
Yeah, because we're talking about Bigfoot, but there's a lot of eyewitnesses that see Dogmen, Mothman, or some kind of winged creature. And then, of course,
I know a guy.
Pardon?
I know a guy that saw a Mothman.
Yeah, geez, you do know.
You do.
Yep.
You do know. I don't know what it was.
These beings are connected. I don't know how they're connected. This brain and all its limitations, I can only take so much.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I think the more educated you are, when I say educated, I mean formally educated.
Yeah.
I think it's even harder for you because you keep wanting to fall back to repetition of what you taught at school. You want to go back to that because it's more comfortable. But since I never had any of that kind of super intense scientific education, my mind is wide open. So I take in what people tell me. I don't make stuff up. I don't dream things up. I don't have a third eye or anything. I just listen to what people tell me. And there's no doubt in my mind. I take them all. That these things, there's a source controlling all these things, and we're not in that club.
Kind of the Jacques Vallée theory.
Yeah, whatever it is, we're not supposed to know about it.
Yeah. Is it?
But I like that.
Once in a while it hits me, David. I'm thinking maybe they're just, we're being entertained.
That's possible, yeah.
That could be too. That's interesting.
It's like it's just an entertainment for us. And that would be sad to find out, wouldn't it?
Yep.
It's like, oh, darn, joke's on you. We're just been entertaining you, keeping you occupied. like in a video game, all sorts of crazy thoughts cross my mind. Yeah. But on the same token, there are real effects that happen, and I don't want to belittle it. What's kind of your thought on some of the stories of shootings? We've all heard, I'm sure you've heard your own stories of people shooting these things, and they seem to just walk away.
My goodness, I've talked to, I don't know, a couple, 3 or 4 guys that have hit him with their car, knocked him down. They get out of the car and look at him thinking, they're looking at this body thinking, what? And all of a sudden it stands up, looks around, looks at them, shakes it off, and jumps up and runs back off into the woods. And I talked to a guy down in this little town in Georgia, just east of Atlanta, that hit a creature on a bridge. And it came over the bridge, and he said it was a 2-lane bridge, and there was no shoulder, and there's nowhere for me to go. And it came over the bridge, and I hit this thing, and it knocked it right off the bridge. And I got out of my car, went down. There was this thing laying there, and he said the neighbors come out. We're all looking. This was back in the 80s. We're all looking at this thing. It's dead. And nobody had camera phones. This was the 80s before anybody had a phone. And I'm standing there looking at this thing. It looked like a 5-foot upright wolf, but its front paws are real small. And then I saw after I took this report, I saw Linda Godfrey's sketch of the Bigfoot that witness saw that was up on the roof with these little arms and the dog legs, and when it came across the bridge, it was running on 2 feet. And the farmers were coming, they're looking at this thing, they're all looking at it, and one guy goes, so that's what's been killing my sheep. The other guy says, that's what got into my chicken coop and killed half my chickens. That's what killed my lamb. And they're realizing that after this, they're all looking at this thing's been killing livestock in the area. But to make the long story short, they called the DNR. The guy gave me the DNR officer's name. They all knew who he was because they used to hunt. And they come and take the body, and he called him back, and he said, what was it? He says, I've never heard anything. No one's ever told me what it was. And because the park rangers or the DNR or the wildlife officers, they like their job. They have a job, and they have kids in college, and they have retirement to look out for. They're not going to get involved in this stuff. They tell them to shut up, they shut up. I talked to Dave Leedy, who shot one with a 357 in North Carolina. And he said, I could see the hair as I'm shooting at this thing. I can see the hair part, and I can hear the thud. I'm a hunter. And when your bullet hits something, you hear a audible thud.
Yep.
He said, I'm shooting this thing, and it's just looking at me like, whatever, with a 357. I think it might have been like 20 yards from it or something like that. And it was not the only one. And he said he'd shoot it, and it would just look at him. He'd look at the other one over here, look back at this one, and this one had advanced 10 feet like that within a second. It was getting closer. And I talked to a...
I've never heard of retaliation for being shot, though.
No. Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, that's just another little component into they have rules. So even if we shoot them,
because that just hit me now. I've never once heard of a retaliation ever.
Yeah. And I mean, you hear the stories of people aiming a gun at him, and it goes wacko, and it starts to like charge you and making noises to terrify you, but it never. He said they could have got to me. Mike Woolley had two of them chasing through the woods. He knew they could have had him. He shot one at had his gun on one, and they were chasing him all the way back to this car. I talked to a guy, and it could have had him, and it didn't. I talked to a guy, Mr. Brown. What a nice guy, up in Somerville, Georgia. And he was. This is interesting. I'm only going to tell you interesting stories. He went ginseng hunting. He usually goes with a friend of his. And I think he was probably in his 50s at the time. And his friend couldn't make it. So he said, well, this is where I'm going to be if you want to meet me there. He said, well, I'll maybe, but I'm probably not going to. I got something to do. So Mr. Brown parks his car somewhere in Somerville, Georgia, goes down this embankment, this very tricky embankment. He has an idea there's ginseng down there. And he's picking ginseng, and he hears somebody walking up behind him. And he's thinking, he didn't even look up at first. He just assumed it was Buddy because he told him where he was going to be. So he continues looking for ginseng, and he hears it again, and he turns around, and there is a female, hairy person, totally naked, standing in the woods, and she's looking at him, and he's in shock looking at this female Bigfoot. That's what I'm going to call it. And then she looks over into the woods, and he's hearing this popping sound and walking, and he gets the strong feeling that she ain't alone. And then she's with several of them, and they're coming into her position, and they're looking for something to eat. And she looks at him, and then she looks over she looks towards her friends that are coming, and she looks at him, and she goes, boom. And then she looks back away from him like this, and then she looks back, and he's shocked, and she looks at him, and she goes, boom. And he realizes she's telling him to get his you-know-what and get out of there right now before my friends get here. That's the impression he got. She is warning him, they're coming, get out of here. He says once he understood what she was telling him, she would make that noise to him, and then she would look off towards her friends so they weren't looking see her looking at him. She was warning him. He said, I got up, and he said, I was not in good shape. I ran up that hill to get to my car faster than I've ever moved in my life. When I got to my car, I was trying to open my car door, and I started vomiting because I was so tired and terrified at the same time. But it was interesting to me because I think she was saving his life.
Yeah.
And that's not the first time I've heard that from a witness firsthand.
Yeah, I want to get into that.
Life.
I want to get into that, the life-saving stories.
Yep.
But okay, the Ape Canyon thing. David Ellis brought up a good point. What about the Ape Canyon? They threw rocks at the cabin. But I'm talking about, I've heard stories where guys have pulled a gun point blank, where the creature is 4 feet away. They shoot it. The creature runs off. I'm talking about right there at that moment. Like kill the guy.
Right.
Get revenge versus throwing rocks. Hell, they throw rocks when you haven't done anything to them.
Yeah. Yeah, Fred Beck, he even wrote in his book, I Fought the Ape Men of Mount St. Helens, that he knew that those things could have got in there. They could have torn the walls of that.
Right.
But they didn't. Even at them shooting at it, overnight shooting at them, they stopped shooting because they were kind of thinking it would go away after that happened. But he said he knew they could have busted those walls.
Yeah, I was referring to like real retaliation, like a story where there was witnesses, somebody shot one, and it just grabbed the guy and tore his arm off.
Well, the other perspective on that is if they did retaliate, maybe those are the people you never hear from again.
Right.
Well, that's true.
If they retaliate, they're going to win.
I have no doubt that some of these things don't like us.
Oh, for sure.
Don't like us like a lot. And if there's an opportunity to take one of us, I don't know what they do with us. I don't know. There's an opportunity. I think some of them don't like us that much.
I want to relay a story to you, David. My son used to, I don't know if he's doing it anymore. I don't think he's doing it anymore, but he used to find out where a person went missing, and then he would go camp there.
Oh, my Lord.
Brilliant, right?
Right.
That's what I would tell him. Brilliant idea. So there was a guy up in the Boundary Waters that went missing. All they found was his wallet and his tent, and he was just gone. Never found any trace of him. So Blaine's like, I'm going to go camping right there in his campsite. So he goes up there, long hike, 15 miles back in the Boundary Waters, camps there, and oh my God, the woman that he was with ended up getting PTSD because they got the tent had boulders thrown and landed right at the base of the tent, rolling up wood knocks all night, rocks hitting the rocks near the shore they were at, bound and ricocheting in the water. They were just it was aggressive, and it's all recorded, and I put it up on YouTube. You can listen to it.
Wow.
They put what do you call it? A microphone outside and a recorder, ran headphones, wire and splitter, so she could hear what was going on, and he could. And it was so bad, he had to yell, "Knock it off." Because he was getting worried because they were getting really aggressive. But that's where the guy went missing.
Wow.
And so
he's not doing that anymore, right?
Pardon?
Your son's not doing that anymore, right?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Maybe he is. I don't know. But he was doing it on quite a regular basis.
Wow.
I said, I don't think that's a great idea.
Right.
Because when someone's gone, like you wonder, did he come out of the tent? Did he hear a bunch of the same racket that they heard? But the difference is they did not come out of the tent to investigate. They stayed within that nylon, right?
Yeah.
And that may make a difference.
Saved in the nylon, isn't that something?
The nylon, yeah, the thin nylon saved them. But the record, you got to listen to it, David. It's crazy.
Oh, I will. Yeah, I definitely will.
You can hear them just walking around and throwing stuff and wood knocking real aggressively, and they were not happy they were there.
Wow.
And of course, we don't know if it had anything to do with this poor man that went missing, but Blaine's like, what are the chances? What are the chances that we go there and right away they have activity so bad that I guess the lady he brought up there, they had to go get a hotel and they had to hike out of there the next morning. They packed them, get the hell out of there. Said that like the refrigerator came on in the hotel and she would just flinch violently because they were freaked out. And in other words, the question is it intimidation, or do you think if they have a chance they could grab somebody and hurt them, drag them off?
I think it's both. I think some of it, I think they might amuse themselves with this kind of stuff too. It could be just go scare the dumb, hairless humans. So I think some of them it's a comedy act. I mean, they love to scare us. But I remember when I talked to the hiker from California that went to hike the Appalachian Trail, and it was his first day. He'd saved for like 6 months and trained, and he's on his first leg at Amicalola State Park, and 3 of these things descend upon him in broad daylight, driving him down the trail further and further, breaking it. Every time he tries to rest, they break a tree down. He gets his backpack and he's just I keep moving. And he said, before I realized what was going on, I realized these things were corralling me further away from the entrance to the park, further down the trail. And to make a long story short, he's in his tent at night and there's 2 of them standing above his tent arguing. And he said, I couldn't understand a word they were saying. But he said, I knew exactly what was going on. One of them wanted to kill me.
Yeah.
And the other one was trying to convince the other one to let me live.
Yeah.
And I didn't do anything. He said, I'm just hiking on the trail. I didn't even have a weapon with me. I wasn't a hunter. He said the only thing I could think of that irritated him was I had a camouflage cap on, like a military cap, but he wasn't ex-military. And so there's no doubt that we know there's bad ones, but I think obviously there's a lot more good ones than bad ones.
Well, there have to be some bad ones. I mean, there just kind of has to be. It just kind of goes without saying. Amanda asked, is that video here on the Untold? Yes. It's called, I think I called it a Bigfoot's in my camp. There's part 1 and part 2. Wear headphones because you'll be just like you were in the tent.
Wow.
If you put the headphones on, it actually, a friend of mine listened to it recently, and he called me. He said, that freaked me out more than anything I've ever listened to.
Wow.
That the guts that they had to just, but what are you going to do?
Right.
You can't do anything. You can go outside and try to scare them off. And he just, like David Ellis, because David analyzed a lot of the recording. He just, I love Blaine's response. He goes, easy, buddy, easy. So what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right? Anyhow, it's just called Bigfoot or Sasquatch in my camp. It's under videos on it. Go to our homepage, go to videos, and just scroll till you find it. It's kind of a green thumbnail.
I just found it.
There's 2 of them.
I'll post the link.
And there's a third one that I haven't got around to editing yet. There's another one. It's like part 3. But anyhow, so enough of that. So intimidation, obviously, they seem to all do that, right? That's one thing they have in common. They all do intimidation. Kind of like black bears. If you've had a run-in with a black bear, 99% of the chance they're going to start clacking their teeth, they're banging the ground, and it's a bluff. If they're making noise, you're safe.
Mm-hmm.
It's the quiet ones you got to worry about that don't make any noise. And maybe the same for Bigfoot. There may have been one creature in that group that didn't do anything, just sat there and waited for those guys to come out of the tent. We don't know, But it was interesting when I studied the area, David, there was a huge cliff near them and like a valley that I don't think anybody's ever explored. It's like a hidden valley. And we found it on Google Maps. And literally all of us are scared to go back there. And I don't think I could even make the hike. Blaine said you'd never make it. It's really brutal. But the hidden valley was interesting when I found that. It's just weird. Anyhow, I keep thinking about it. All right. Audio. Have you ever heard audio or do you like Moorhead's got this talking kind of samurai stuff? I finally have heard audio up at Snow Grove. We recorded it. It was crystal clear. We had microphones in our cameras that were out. And all of a sudden, something went around and threw a rock at every camera. And we heard it live, right? And they were hidden cameras, little tiny. And it was like, you idiots. I know where they all are. And it went around and threw a rock. And then it said this weird phrase into one of the cameras. And it sounds like Native American talk. And this is in a very isolated, you have to get, dropped off by a float plane and left.
Wow.
It's not where you're going to have human interference. And I don't know what to think of it. It's just like, was that message meant for a certain person in our, because do you want me to play it? You want to hear it, David?
Sure, I'd love to.
Okay, I can play it real quick here.
While he's looking that up too, we can add that last night on the Untold Network on Real American Monsters, Doug and Joe Perrella were talking about Snell Grove. So highly recommend you go look up Real American Monsters from last night. It's a great episode.
Yeah, we were on that talking about Snell Grove and all our.
We've
been going there, David.
Episode.
Yeah, we were going there 35, 36, 38 years now.
Wow.
To that cabin. And we never had any activity until one day we brought our kids up there, our daughters. And all of a sudden there was a wood knock right next to my boat. And I'm like, oh crap. And so we waited until like 1 a.m. We did a wood knock and we got a response right outside the firelight. Like 12, 15 feet from us, loud, and like right away. And you should have seen everybody at the campfire, just their jaws just dropped.
Right.
And that was the night the cabin got attacked for the first time. And I'd been going there 30 years and never had anything happen. I used to go there even alone, and sleep out on the dock pull the futon cushion out if it was too hot in the cabin. All right, hold on. Here we go. Snowgrove Lake talking. Here we go. You ready?
Yep.
I'm sorry people have heard this, but let me put my volume up here. Hold on here. I should get this to you, Jeff, so you can do it properly.
Yeah. I mean, it's crystal clear. That came across live on our camera, and we all just freaked because, and we had brought up a system which we had never done before, where we could hear the cameras live, and that luckily we got it on tape. What did that mean? I don't know. I have no idea. It sounds like it's saying, "I'll talk with you."
Right.
That's kind of what it sounds like. But David Ellis says, no, it's like, "I'll saw switch you," or something like that.
Huh.
So I don't know.
Maybe you should, if you could get to a Native American tribe or reservation in that area, maybe something would. It's just a thought. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good thought. I just don't know what it is.
Probably nothing. They won't know what it is, but
it seems like it's speaking English, but who knows? I don't know. It's freaky. So what do you think of the Moorhead tapes and Ron and that whole?
Wow.
It's crazy.
It's 100% legit.
Yeah, I know. Well, I've known Ron for years. And
it's the most important piece of audio probably ever.
Yeah.
Because you could hear them. It's not just one howling. They're talking amongst each other. And you can get a sense of the emotion.
Right.
You know, he's talking to little one. It's like a father and son.
Yeah.
So, I think it's just amazing. I've listened to him 100 times, those tapes, 100 times. You know, I can't make heads or tails of what they're saying, but Scott Nelson certainly.
I haven't sent this to Scott. I really should have David, or I should send it to Scott Nelson.
Yeah.
Maybe. The trouble is, Scott's so involved in the Moorhead tapes. I don't know if you'd have room for even looking at it, but listening to it. But it's very clear. It was very close to the microphone, obviously. Yeah, David says it's speaking at a fast rate, not your normal conversational speed. Yeah.
And you think it, and I think Scott Nelson said that they speak so fast that we can't. They don't break their words up like you do. They just like blurt it all out very fast. And that would usually mean that they have to have a brain function that works on that level.
Right.
So obviously they're very intelligent. If they can speak fast to one another, they're going to have a brain that can process it that fast. So that's interesting as well.
Well, what's the one thing, David, that they do in the forest that they do a lot of? They push trees down a ton, tip them over.
Yeah.
And I realize that elephants kind of have that same purpose. They push a lot of trees down, and that helps the environment. I'm wondering if that's one of the ways they contribute to the environment in the forest, by pushing trees down.
Huh. Well, I had a tree pushed down at me. My wife and I did a wood knocking.
Oh, you did?
To State Park. It's never happened to me before.
Wow.
It was a perfectly calm day, and we were there on an expedition, and we got there, I think, the day before everybody got there. So we went through a hike through what they call the Turia Challenge, which takes you. It's like the very beginning of the Appalachian Mountains range, and it actually starts in the Panhandle of Florida, in a place called Turia. It's got a little bit of elevation. It's unlike any other place in Florida, and that's right where Stacy Brown his father got that thermal from.
Right.
St. Park. And we stopped on a beautiful day. We stopped, I don't know, we were 2 or 3 miles in, took our packs off. I said, let's have something to drink. And I said, while we're sitting here, let me just do a wood knock. It was like 2:00 in the afternoon. There was no wind. nothing like this has ever happened. I picked up my sturdy walking stick and went over to a tree, and I tapped a few times to make sure I got a good knock. And I went bam, bam, bam. And it wasn't a second after that last knock that we could hear a tree, I'm guessing 75 yards away into the woods. You could hear this thing, you could hear this tree, and it wasn't like dead falling. Something was pushing this thing over because you could hear all the live fibers in this tree fighting it. It was pop, 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 crack, 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 pop, 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 crack, crack, crack. The whole way, from the beginning to the end, this tree was resisting pushing down. You could hear all that wet fiber until it finally went smash. So it hit the ground, and my wife and I looked at each other like, we knew that tree didn't fall. We knew.
Yeah, that kind of proves it was pushed. Yeah.
Right. And then, right after that, as we're trying to process, we hear this very strange mechanical sound, like a buzzing sound, coming from the same
Stop, buzzing.
Yeah, we're like, what is that? And I'm thinking, is that somebody with a drill or something? But it sounded like it was up in the air, like it wasn't on the ground. It was like
okay. Well, back up just a little bit. Somebody even asked me to remind you about, ask if you've heard any buzzing or humming.
Yeah. That's the only time I'd ever heard any buzzing. And there's nothing out there, Mac. You're out there. There's no houses. There's no buildings. There's one little service road that takes you back to a primitive campsite. But it was close enough. If it was you can't get it with a truck. You have to use an ATV. We would have heard the ATV. It wasn't that far away. I don't know what the hell it was. I've heard these weird buzzing sounds that people have said before. But let me tell you something. We picked up our packs. We didn't hang around to find out. We certainly didn't go investigate. Between the cracking and it was a big tree that came down. And that buzzing sound, we packed it up. We just said, we're leaving it. And I think we actually turned around and hiked right back out. Yeah, that was weird.
Can you describe in more detail this buzzing sound? Like, give me some comparatives. Hummingbird, bee. Did it vibrate your eardrum kinda? Did it?
I don't remember if it was loud enough to vibrate my eardrum, but I remember that it was a loud buzzing sound that we could hear. It wasn't right here. It was, like I said, 75 yards away in the woods, slightly elevated. So it wasn't like coming from the ground. It was coming up from like midway between the tops and the bottoms of the trees. And it was loud enough that it had to be something big. It wasn't like a bug or something. It was loud, and I'm trying to think at the time.
Did it remind you at all? I mean, even reminiscent of hummingbird wings, loud 800-pound hummingbird?
It could have been, to be honest with you. I was still in shock at the tree coming down, right? I could still hear the tree coming down when I'm hearing the buzzing sound. So I'm already in shock when I hear this buzzing sound. So I couldn't, to be honest, I just really couldn't tell you if it was if it sounded like a hummingbird. My wife's not here. I guess I could ask her. She was standing there right next to me when it happened. She probably has a better. I couldn't.
Why don't you? Okay, this isn't kind of important. Why don't you have David jump in? David, if you want to jump in, you can just jump in with audio too if you want. But send David the current link, Jeff.
Yep. Give me a minute here.
Well, David Ellis. You know who David Ellis is.
I do. Yes.
Yeah. We'll get David on, and this is important for you because if anybody needs to know this information, it's you. Because you take so many reports and talk to so many people. And if it's a question you could, for us, even ask, have you ever heard any buzzing? The fact you've heard it yourself is really important. So we'll get David on here. We can get you some recordings.
Okay.
Of other people that have recorded it. And of course, we recorded it up at Snell last year. Tons of it. Like, it's crazy. And what is it? It's really, I don't know. It isn't a hummingbird. We know that. It's,
right.
Because we've done all the spectrograms and comparatives. It's some kind of a hum or a buzz. And it also changes with maybe with the size of the creature doing it. Because I'll tell you a quick story. Adam walked out of Snell early morning one day, and he's hearing this sound, and he thought, what the heck is this? Is it, some like electricity almost maybe? Or so all of a sudden he hears a big one yell at the little one with all of a sudden there was a beeper, a lower one, and then the little one shut up. That's super weird. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. David says, I can't believe the number of encounters and a lot of recordings of this. And we found articles, or David did, of stuff back into the early 1900s, like 1930, of people describing hearing a buzzing or a humming, and they looked up and expected to see a bug or something, and it was a Bigfoot standing there.
Wow.
Yeah. So we've got direct connections.
Right.
Which is fascinating.
At the time,
here's another one. B.F. Budd recorded the humming of a well pump up on a mountain with no electricity for miles. Yeah, exactly.
There are David Ellis is
oh, there he is. He's coming in. Yeah. Sorry, David. We didn't mean to stick you in there and get you on the spot, but that might make for a nice kind of end to our show. But don't let me forget, David. We want to hear about your sighting or whatever you've seen before we wrap up.
Okay.
David, are you there? You got a lot of men.
Yep, David. Are you David Ellis? Are you ready?
He's ready.
All right, welcome.
He's saying no.
No, no. Oh, okay. Oh, he just disconnected. So.
Oh, he'll be back.
He'll be back.
So why don't you tell us what you've seen? You just told us one story that kind of freaked you out, which is great that you mentioned that. But has there been anything else that you've witnessed?
So my first encounter was something I didn't even know what it was at the time. I was about 18, living on a little apple farm in northern Michigan, a little place called St. Helen near Roscommon, Michigan. And my parents I lived in an old schoolhouse. As a matter of fact, it was an old schoolhouse where Charlton Heston had gone to school as a child. And we lived in it, and the chalkboards were on it. It was turned into a home, but they left a lot of the school stuff. The bell was all the way at the top. And there's a little store next door, like just a little party store, but there's a few farms, but pretty much it's quite remote out there. But we're on a main 2-lane, M55 was the name of the road. It's a 2-lane road. And one morning, it's winter. My family is visiting, has gone to Florida. I'm there by myself. I'm in my first year of college. I'm sleeping in the bedroom. 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm guessing, 1 o'clock in the morning. I wake out of bed. Something is beating on the side of the cabin. So loud, it wakes me out of my bed. I'm like, what the hell? And I walk out of the bedroom. I'm standing in the living room, and I can see something is beating on the wall. I can see the wall moving.
Oh, geez. So this is like really, you got to get your point across. This is powerful.
It's pounding. There's something huge outside.
Like really strong.
On the wall.
Oh, jeez.
And where I'm standing, it's 4 feet to the ground because as you walk up to the schoolhouse, the ground's right here. So whatever this was pounding, it had to be pounding 10, 11 feet up from the ground because it was about a little taller than my eyes and it's 4 feet down to the ground. So whatever's standing out there beating on the ground ain't no bear. It's huge. It scared me so bad. I went to my dad's bedroom, my parents' bedroom, and I got my dad's shotgun, loaded it. And I sat there in that chair facing, and there was big picture windows. So there's windows, and I could have just looked out around the corner and see what it was. But something told me, don't look. You don't want to see what's out there.
Yeah, same thing I've had happen. Yeah.
So I didn't look, and something just said, don't look, just sit. And I thought, whatever this thing is, if it gets in this house, I'm going to have to shoot it. So I sat there until the sun came up. It went away. There was no snow on the ground at the time, so there was no prints. I couldn't find anything molested or moved around or anything like that. It scared the living crap out of me.
Oh, man, I can bet.
And the other time,
that's like a horror
movie. I never
movie.
told my parents when they came home. I never told my parents. I never said anything to anybody what happened. And I don't think I ever told them. And I've relayed the story to a few people, my brothers and my sisters, but I never told my parents. Certainly didn't tell my sisters. And the last one the other one that happened was when I was on a investigation with my wife. Thankfully, I'm with my wife on a lot of this stuff. So we know what we saw. I didn't dream it up. And we were at an investigation in Florida where the guy who's a fisherman, his friend calls and said he's got these things on his property. And he comes home with all these fish, cleans them up and cooks them, and just leaves the heads and guts laying all over the place. And they will come in and look in his windows, and they love the fish. I think they used to take pieces of fish he'd leave laying around. And he was frightened that they were going to take his dog because his roommates would see him looking in the windows like this night. They wake up and see this face looking at him. Next day, they pack their crap and leave. He was on his third roommate. And he was afraid they were going to take and eat his dog. His dog's name was Tank. It was just a great big old, like mixed retriever. She couldn't hardly run. But one night, it was looking in his bedroom. He jumps out of bed thinking it was just some person, grabs a 22, and he's running out in the front yard with his underwear on with his 22, and he's chasing this thing through the yard. It leaps over a 4-foot fence on the other side. The swamp is on the other side. Never even touched the fence. And when it got over the other side of the fence, it just reached his arms out and started mowing the trees down and screaming. And that's when he realized it wasn't a person. So we camped out in his backyard. He kicked up his smoker. He says, whenever they smell fish, they come. And we sat out there maybe an hour and a half. We're playing some music. And there was swamp. There was no houses. It was just swamp back there. And we're in a tent with a thermal, but we had the Scout thermal before it was affordable. It didn't record. It was a PS24 or something like that. You could see, but it didn't record. My wife's in the tent. We're taking turns coming out of the tent. So nobody's looking around, but somebody's scanning behind the scenes from just outside of a tent. My wife says, you better get in here. So I get in there in the tent with her. She hands me the thing. I look out, and sure as crap, there's these two things in the swamp behind, each of them behind a tree. They got their arm behind the tree. They lean out like that from the tree. They look back. And then this one leans out. It comes back. And the tree is only like this wide. So it's just covering. You can see everything else. It's just the tree covering just a slit down the front of them. Everything else is hanging out from the tree. And they'd look out. This one would look in, and this one would look. And then they'd go back behind, and he'd look again. This went on for like 12, 14 minutes, something like that. The witness came. I said, go in there and look at the tent. So I'd come out. And we said, don't look at them. Just kind of just talk. And then finally, after we switched a couple times, whatever they were figured out, but we could see them. And my wife was back on the thermal when she could see him turn to walk off into the swamp again, go back. Next morning, I get up. I jump that fence and I go in the swamp. I'm thinking, how in the hell could anything walk? Huge, thick vines. It looked like a horrible Tarzan movie. How anything can walk in there, I have no idea. Vines, big holes in the ground, all wet. And it's weird because we never heard anything. You couldn't hear them walking around. Or you could see them, plain as day, but it was just a thermal image. Wow. We never heard them walk away or never heard them walk up. They were just totally quiet. But I went back there the next morning. I said, how in the hell could anything walk around in here? But they were back there. And that was my second, and then I had one more after that. Sighting that I already told you about.
Well, hang on one second. We're just gonna let David in.
Yep.
We'll let David in, and then you get him.
Hey, David 1, David 2.
Hey,
David 2, David. It's David night.
Yeah.
Hi, David. It's good to
Hi,
see you.
how are you doing?
Good to see you, David.
Sorry
Hey,
for
Jeff.
the short notice.
That's okay.
By any chance, can you explain to David how important this little bit of info is?
Well, it's one of those sounds that I'm constantly looking for that people aren't aware of, that may be more common than we think and may tie back into Sasquatchery. But I believe it was a common person that Doug and I both work with, Tristan Yolton, who has sent me quite a bit of audio. talked about a recording that he got when actually I think it was his first time putting a recorder out, and he was convinced that there was a Sasquatch that was eating some food that he had left out. Well, during the time that it was eating, it was making this buzzing, humming, purring sound, if you will, like a contented cat eating. And I asked Tristan what was that, and he said, "Well, I don't know, but it's kind of weird." And then Doug, I think you played it on Untold Radio, and because you said to us, "I just got a feeling about this. This is one of those things. Trust me, it's going to get legs," and it sure did. We started getting reports from a lot of people that I work with over the years. One of them you may know, Paul Graves. He was with John Andrews, and they actually recorded it and didn't know what it was, had me listen to it, and I said, well, it ties in with this. And then Paul got really interested in it. He went on the internet and went back through the Bigfoot forums. Do you remember that talking group? And he found an article that I believe Scott McLean had captured, and it was a lady, Mrs. Caulfield, in 1924, something like that. Maybe not 24. That's an overused number. That's the Ape Canyon number, but it was
early.
Yeah, it was early. She was took her laundry down to a river and was washing it, and she heard a hummingbird, and she looked up to see the hummingbird, only it was a Sasquatch making this sound.
Didn't this Sasquatch have an infant with her? I can't remember now.
No, they kind of both stared at each other for a little bit and parted ways quickly.
Oh, okay.
But she was very adamant about what she heard, and it just tied in with this particular sound. Like it's a buzz or a hum or a purr, and there's been quite a few people that have come forward with it.
Read the post, David, real quick. Can you see that?
Oh, could it be some sort of residual energy, or maybe
interesting? That's interesting.
You know, it can be a lot of different things. I think it has to do with the mechanics of their air sacs. That they have. I'm pretty convinced that at this point in time that they have air sacs that contribute to the infrasound possibilities. Right. And this resonance of this hummingbird, it's pretty low. I think it's in the 40 hertz range, which is been pretty much what we look for when we get reports of this particular sound.
I've heard this. I've heard the humming sound before as well. Not a lot, not as many as you guys have, but I think it's been associated with they're making the sound. I don't know how the heck they're making it, and there's got to be a purpose. And it's either is it to calm us down?
I think it may be to calm themselves down,
or is it to freeze us? Where there's so many stories of
right.
All of a sudden you cannot move.
Right.
Right.
I think that has to do with maybe the infrasound that they seem to have the capability of doing as well.
Right.
So
very interesting.
A lot of interesting comments flooding in here.
Yeah.
Hillary says, I heard a kid tell about
go.
hurting himself, being picked up by a Bigfoot, and the Bigfoot made a purring sound to smooth his crying. And he went to sleep.
Yeah, there is also a report in the archives that I ran across where a Sasquatch was supposedly bathing a baby of theirs at a creek and was humming, making this particular sound. So that
humming's always been associated with it.
Sure.
It actually even has, I guess, when we hum, it affects our blood pressure, and all sorts of physical things.
Right.
So maybe it might just be that simple. So many damn mysteries.
So I recently heard and it's not the first time I heard the same story. It's been passed around. But about a kid that was on a field trip with his family, and I can't remember what state, but generally, I'm just going to tell you the general story. And it was the first time he had been on a field trip. He was from the city. And as he was walking along the creek, he was looking at frogs and salamanders. He was just absolutely stunned. And he got behind the group. Tell me if you've heard this story. And he's in a creek looking at these little things. And all of a sudden, he realized he's by himself, that the group has left ahead of him. And he sees a person walk up next to him. And he looks up, and there is a Bigfoot looking at him. And it looks at him, and I can't remember exactly what happened next, but it makes this sound, this purring, vibrating sound. And then it picks the kid up like this, and it's looking at him. And it was not looking at him in a loving way. It was looking at him in a horrifying way. And it started to make that sound again as it was holding the kid. It started to make this very strange humming, vibrating sound. And the kid, he remembers he had an out-of-body experience. He's looking down at this Sasquatch holding him from above, like a near-death experience. And that was initiated by that Bigfoot making that strange humming sound. I'll see if I can find it. I've heard
that's interesting
at least twice. But whatever this Sasquatch was doing, it wasn't doing it because it liked the kid or it was nice. I don't know why, but it didn't hurt the kid. He passed out, and he was laying. And I think one of your commenters, and when he woke up, he was on the ground, and one of the people that one of the what do you call it? Not one of the people that was up with the field trip found the kid and dragged him back to the bus, and they were all mad at him because they were going to stop somewhere. Now they couldn't because they had to go right back to school because this kid got lost. But he really wasn't lost. And he tried to tell people what happened to him, but they were all telling him to stop dreaming this stuff up, and they wouldn't believe him. But so I don't know how long this kid was on the ground when he came to, but it held him up and made that strange sound and created this out-of-body experience. So you can do it, but it sounded it just sounded like something somebody would make up. Let's just say that.
Well, a sound can have a high end and a low end, and the low end, if this humming sound is a 40 hertz range, it's only another 20 hertz before it starts to dip into the infrasound. And there's so many psychological reactions to infrasound. You can go on the internet and read all of the different types of reactions a person can have. And it's been studied by the government as a tool to use in warfare. So there's a lot of things that could happen to somebody when hit with infrasound, and it sounds like that's what was going on with this.
Right. David,
an out-of-body experience.
David, could you play like Tristan's or somebody's, good, so David gets an idea of what we're talking about?
Oh gosh,
I know. I'm sorry.
The answer is yes, I could. Okay. The answer is, can I? Well,
can you? So when you heard that sound, why did it scare you? Because just a bug, you know what I mean? Why would that have scared you, David?
Because I'd never heard that sound before, and we were in a place where there should be no sound like that, and it was big enough and it was far enough away where we knew it was a substantial source of that sound.
Right. Okay. That's the second time I've heard it coming from far away.
Right.
Really.
It was not.
Oh, I'm actually going to be on a show tomorrow with Charlie Raymond, and he had that happen to him and his wife.
Lindsay. Yep.
Yeah, Lindsay had that happen to them, and it freaked them both out because I brought it up to Charlie. Well, I'm going to be on Charlie's show tomorrow, so I don't know what we're going to talk about, but
yeah, if Charlie, they had they were going to open a museum over there in Clay County, Kentucky, and I told him, I said, just be ready, buddy, because once they start coming in, the road crossings, you'll get a few of those, but you're going to start getting the good stuff. and he's getting a lot of this stuff now.
Yeah, he's doing a great job documenting.
There's so many amazing things happening in Kentucky. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, he's so nuts. To me, do you attribute it to the mild climate, the more mild climate? Or do you think that has nothing to do? I mean, you had mentioned Minnesota's pretty inclement in the wintertime. So do you think that they're attracted to your area because of the weather?
Honestly, I don't think the weather matters that much to them.
Okay.
I had a hunting guide from Alaska come in with his sister to tour the museum, and he was real quiet. And his sister was just talking. They were so excited to be there, but he was real quiet. And she goes, she goes, "Do you own the place?" I said, "Yeah." She says, "Do you believe in Bigfoot?" I said, "Of course." She goes, "Well, if you want to hear about Bigfoot, you should talk to my brother over there." And he's real quiet, big guy. I love this guy. Says real quiet guys. And I go, "Oh, really?" He goes, "Yep." He says, I'm a hunting guide in Alaska. He says, I don't know what they were hunting. They were hunting whatever, big game they're hunting in Alaska. And they're out in the bush with some Inuit. And he's the only one that's not an Inuit. All the rest of the guys are Inuit, Native Americans. And he says, they're in their tents going to sleep, and I'm up having a cup of coffee by the campfire. He says, and the firelight only goes out so far. But he says, I'm starting to see this thing coming into the firelight. He's thinking, what? And I can't remember if he said he had his gun sitting next to him. He probably did if he was hunting in Alaska. I'm assuming he had his rifle right there. He said, this thing took one step into the firelight. And he says, you don't understand. He says, I've seen grizzlies. This thing could break a grizzly's neck. This thing stepped into my firelight. And this is Alaska. Where in the hell are Sasquatches staying warm in Alaska?
Yeah. Well, I had my first footprint find even north of Alaska, way up in the Arctic.
This guy, I said, how big was it? And that's when he really comes to life. He says, I'm going to tell you how big it was. You said, you see this beam above my head? It's about 8 feet, the beam, 8.5 feet. He said, that's where its shoulders were at. That's how big. He says, I can't even begin to explain to you how scared I was, because this thing was huge. And he said, as I stood there, it made sure I saw it. And he said, it took a couple steps back and it was out of the firelight. He said, I sat up there all night with my gun. I wouldn't go back to bed. And I never told, when these guys got up in the morning, I never said a word to them. Wow. I didn't tell them what I saw. But one, it was huge. Two, how are these things living up in the north like that? And
well, there is meat up there
right now to the snow. Why don't the sightings pick up in Florida and Alabama in the wintertime? But they don't. That's why I say I'm not sure these things really migrate, because when it snows, the sightings don't pick up out of the snow belt. It's the same.
Well, you realize, okay, I saw a possum once. It was a true 40 below, not the wind chill, 40 below. And I saw a possum running out in front of my car, and he was just running. And I just slowed down with the headlights on him, and he was running. And I'm looking at his bare tail, no fur at all, right? And I'm thinking, how in the world is he not freezing solid with no insulation? You know, possums, they don't have a lot of fat on them, and they don't have a lot of fur. But yet the possum was just fine.
Right.
40 below. I would have lasted out there, oh my God, 4 or 5 seconds before my lungs would have crystallized.
Right.
And it was just, bare tail. Why doesn't it break off?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I really don't. It's magical.
And don't forget, possums eat garbage. They're little eaters. Sasquatch requires, what do they say? 30,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
Or something with a
but still, it's still
that kind of sustenance. And when people say them, I've talked to people that've seen unhealthy ones, but most of the time, these things look like weightlifters on steroids.
Yeah.
They're big. They're not starving to death. So it's just another strange aspect. How are they living in the Great White North? Where are they getting all this food to grow so big? But they're not alone. They have family with them.
But why couldn't they just eat meat, turn to just a complete meat diet?
Yeah. Well, where's all the kills? And then all the footprints around the kills.
I'm not arguing. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
It's not for you. That's for the people in the audience that are listening.
Right. Yeah. I wonder. I've gotten calls about people finding stacks of deer with broken legs, and then I thought, I wondered if they're just breaking their legs, keeping them alive,
right,
and immobilizing them. Then a guy said, "Oh, I found them like deer with broken legs, and they've got a log kind of on top of them to kind of keep them there so they can't move, and then they're kept alive, and that's just brutal, but crazy."
Nature's brutal.
I talked to
yeah, you're not joking, Jeff.
I talked to a guy who was friends with a pastor not too far from here. And this pastor had moved into town. He owned an air conditioning business. So he was a pastor at the church, but they have regular jobs, right? So they had just moved into this area, and he was the new pastor at the church. So he's off doing air conditioning work. His wife is home, and the kids are at school. And his wife is besieged by these two Sasquatch, one big one, one little one. And they keep coming into the house. They stand on the deck looking at her as she's putting laundry away. She calls her husband, "You need to come home." They're back. Absolutely freaking out. He doesn't really know anybody in this town. He just moved there. So after like the fourth time of these things staring at her, not in a good way, this wife, he goes to his congregation after the church one day. He's desperate. He needs help. He says, "Look, fellas, I'm going to tell this with you because I'm desperate. I need help. I can't be home every day. I have to go make a living." And he tells him what's going on. And what do you think happened to that pastor after he told these guys in his congregation that he needed help? And he was kind of hoping that if something happened, could she call you? If I'm too far, would you come over? They fired him. They let him go because they thought he was a crackpot. And he had to move. Sold the house, quit his job, and moved off someplace else. But that's the kind of response you can get from regular everyday people that, regardless of your religious affiliation, they'll turn on you. Folks will turn on you if you try to tell them something they don't want to hear. And I remember that guy was heartbroken. He was heartbroken that they didn't believe him. Instead of getting help, they ran him out of the church. That's not a hit on a church. I'm not
right. No,
that could happen to any church.
David, you got anything queued up?
Yep. He sent me. I just got an email from him. Let me get that ready. Give me a minute here, and we are creeping up on 3 hours here too, so we're getting to be a little bit long here. But let's see. All right, here we go.
We hear nothing. David, maybe you should.
Oh, you know what? It's my. I need to restart my browser here.
Go ahead. David can share too. Yeah, Jeff's having audio problems.
It never ends, man. I'll be right back.
All right, David.
Yes.
You want to just share it? You can share it. I think. I don't know. I would love David to hear this.
Okay. I'm not sure how I queue it up. I can play it on my computer, but I'm not sure.
Well, let's wait till Jeff gets back. He'll be able to share it. Just hang on. He'll be back quick. His computer reboots quick. Yeah, he's already back.
Yeah, I just had to restart my browser here. Let's try that again. Hold on a second.
Yeah, you even sound better, Jeff.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I got
the whole audio for the whole show sounds better suddenly.
Oh, well, let's hear it. Let's see if you guys hear this.
Oh, yeah. You hear it, David?
Yeah.
That's quite a reaction.
So strange.
Yeah, it's apparently eating, and he's got.
Yeah.
It's very close to the microphone. It's eating. They're at Bumpy Lake. They're in a really good Bigfoot area.
I've been there before, yeah.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden that kind of weird buzz hum comes across. And it's pretty clear it's coming from whatever's eating, who or whatever it is. We don't know, but I mean, it's just, is that anything at all like what you've heard?
No, that was subtle. What I heard wasn't subtle.
Well, could you try to mimic it somehow?
I can tell you what it reminded me of.
Okay.
It reminded me of a big electric drill, not a little one. It reminded me. It was definitely sounded mechanical to me.
Like a dentist type drill, or like
a big. Excuse me. Like a big plug-in half horsepower drill. It was like a whirring.
Well, that's similar though. That's still similar. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I thought it was a drill, but then I'm like, that can't be a drill. There's nothing out here. I mean, I've been out here. There is nothing. There's no house. There's no power. There's no road. There was nothing, and it was right from that tree that just got pushed down. So.
Well, just so you know, David, it's not exact every time. There's always a little bit of variation in the recordings that I've got. So, yes, and that's why I call it the hum, buzz, purr, because people describe it sometimes as a hum, sometimes as a buzz, and sometimes as a purr. So,
it has something to do with how far they're projecting. If it's close, it's a purr.
Right.
Almost like a parabolic reflector. It's like coming right into your body from far away.
Right.
If you've never experienced the reverse of a parabolic microphone, so you can play sounds using parabolics and aim them at somebody, and I've done this. I used to experiment a lot with it. It's freaky. You could have a couple of mile away whispering, and you could be having it in your parabolic thing, and they can hear it, just like it's right next to them.
Wow.
Through parabolics. It's really interesting. So it does the opposite. Somebody had mentioned, and I'm not laughing, he goes, I think it was Brendan goes, is it possible they're passing gas? And I'm like,
sure.
That's not such a, I haven't heard Bigfoot.
They must farting. Do it. They must
Have you ever
doing
heard of okay, here's the weirdest question you're ever going to get asked in your whole life, David. Have you ever heard a report of a Bigfoot farting?
I have not.
There you go.
Oh,
it must happen.
See, I just
broke here on Untold Radio. We'll start hearing reports next week.
Send in your fart reports.
Yes.
Before we wrap it, before we wrap, just make sure I got one story that I want to tell you.
Please tell it. Go ahead.
That changed everything for me.
All right.
And it changed it because it was early in my investigator career.
Yeah.
It was like maybe my fourth report I took when I was with the BFRO. It happened in Ocala. The guy contacted me, and I got on the phone with him. And this happened to him when he was 12 years old in or near Ocala, Florida. And they lived on a piece of property, and they had a dog that used to run back and forth on a line in the backyard. And he got up one morning, and the dog was acting up for like nights. It would bark all night long, and they were wondering what the hell is wrong with the dog. So he got up one morning, and they had breakfast, and his mother said, take the garbage out to the back of the house. So I picked up the bag of garbage, and he said it was just getting light out. It wasn't completely light. But I bolted out of the back of the house, and I got this garbage bag in my hand. I'm headed to the big garbage bag, or the big garbage can behind the house. He says, I come around the corner, and I see a bear bent over eating out of the big garbage can that I'm headed to. He said, I freeze. He said, I don't make a sound. I am frozen looking at this bear bent over. And then he said, all of a sudden the bear stops, and it stands up on 2 feet and looks at him. And he realizes this is not a bear. It's some kind of a huge, hairy man. And then he said, what did he say to me? He said, and then I just went in the house. And I go, oh, no, he said, and then we locked eyes with one another, locked eyes. And whenever I heard that, I go, I go, it's okay. Now, what happened when you locked eyes? And he got real quiet. He said, I don't like talking about that. I said, well, it's kind of important. I like to know what happened when you locked eyes. He said, you know what? I don't, I'm not comfortable. I said, do me a favor. It's easier sometime, man. Just tell me the email, because then you have the pressure of me, what my reaction is going to be. Just put in an email and send it to me. Nice guy. So he sends it. I get up the next morning and there's the email waiting in my box. I open it up. I'm just new at this. Right? I don't have a whole lot of I'm thinking we're looking for an ape like everybody else does. We're going to find it's just a monkey. We're going to find this thing. So I get this email. I had to read it like 3 times. I'm thinking, what in the God's name? And it said, he walked out and he says, as soon as I lock eyes with this thing, this thought just jams into my head. He said, I'm 12 years old. I'm just a kid. There's no way I thought this to myself. I had no interest in any of this. And he said, it was, you, in parentheses, man, are not of this world, planet. That's how he typed the email. That is exactly what was jammed in this kid's head. You, man, are not of this world, planet. He said, that's all it jammed into my brain, and then just turned around and walked away. He said that had a profound effect on me. So much so that from that point on, I deviated from my family. It affected me so deep. My family, he said, they weren't very learned. They weren't educated. He said, from that point on, I couldn't stop reading. I sucked everything I could about philosophy. He sent me, I don't know how many books he sent me, the book of Seth. And he was talking. He said, my family, and we barely talk, me and my family, because this instant took me way off on another tangent. He said, I didn't ask for this to happen. I wished it hadn't happened, but I think secretly it changed him profoundly. But I had to read that sentence over and over again. You, man, are not of this world, planet. And that stuck with me. By the way, I put that in my report and it was rejected. And I thought, I'm not telling you I believe it. I'm just telling you that's what he told me. And he certainly believes it. No, we're not going to do that. I was like, man, that's kind of important, right? But they weren't interested in it. There's another piece of information that will never get out to the public unless I tell the story. It changed him profoundly. I don't know where
you're muted, Doug.
You can put that wherever you want to put it.
Well, there's people that claim mind speak, and that's obviously the toughest thing to prove to anybody. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you have a personal experience, but who's to say? You know, I wouldn't ever criticize anybody when they claim that, because it's got to be weird when it happens to you, right?
Like I said, if we ever live to see the truth to this, which I don't think we're going to, it's gonna be so crazy.
It could be, yeah.
So far out, and I think there are people that know that. That's why we keep looking to the government for answers, and the government's going, we don't have any answers.
Well, there's been some hints. There's been some hints, David, from some people in the know that same claim they've read like everything, and they're like, you don't want to know.
Exactly.
You don't want to know. It's
and I think there's serious. I think there's, the further I get into this, the more there's validity to that statement. I remember saying not too long ago that it wouldn't surprise me if it ever happened, if somebody read my outline, said, oh, you want to know about Bigfoot? Come here. And they took me downtown, set me in a room, and said, we're going to tell you everything about Bigfoot. Here. This is everything. Now go out and tell the world.
Yeah.
And you'd walk out there, you go, I can't tell anybody this. There's no way. Not only are they not going to believe me, it's too upsetting. So I think that's really where we're at right now.
Yeah, I think you're right.
We get to nibble on the outskirts, the perimeters of this mystery. But if we ever actually submerged in it, we'd be like, oh, I don't want any part. This is way too weird. I want my old life back.
Yeah.
Where we'd be. I think, my opinion.
Well, once again, I want to state for myself, I'm just open-minded to anything.
Yeah.
Period. I don't believe this or that. Nothing. I'm just open-minded, which I think is the best place to be if you want to learn. You just listen. You don't block anybody. You take it all in and make your own damn mind up based on your own experiences.
Right.
And where do you stand, David, on all this? This open-mindedness and what they are and what they could be. And
talk about David Ellis.
David Ellis, yeah.
Oh, where do I stand on this?
Yeah, and all this craziness, yeah.
Well, I come at it from physical proof and
well, of course.
Also with the audio, that's a physical thing. Yeah. So that's my area of interest, but that doesn't mean that that's what I believe.
Right.
If you were to go back in my childhood and in my youth, you would have thought that I would have been the king of woo, just because that's what interested me as I was growing up. Every strange tale in the book I'd love to read about and love to hear. But I just, for as far as Bigfoot is concerned, for me, I'm looking for the physical evidence. And that's just what works for me. So
and there's a lot of it there.
Yeah, there is. But that doesn't mean that they can't do other things. So
right. That's kind of where I'm at too.
Yeah.
Well, it's trace evidence. It's stuff that they leave behind. The footprints are very compelling. Obviously, any kind of casting of an impression of movement is just. You can't fake it. It really you can't. I'm working on fingerprints and things like that are really you can't fake. And I always talk about 3D evidence with fingerprints because they seem to at times leave a very weird white substance. Have you ever seen that, David, where a handprint's got like a whitish gray
and it doesn't wash off?
Yeah, it's very very like waxy, very thick. And then you think about it, well, there's got to be DNA in there. You've got latent, you've got DNA, and you have the chemical compound of the sebum, the skin oil, or whatever that crap is. There's some chemicals there. What is it? And that's what I'm aiming to get to the bottom of. Because it's not a real uncommon thing.
Right.
It really isn't. So tell me about what you've seen with that white stuff. Do you have any memories of, or just photos, or what have you?
I went to Carol and Bill Bridges' home in Florida. Spent the night on their property. And man, you talk about some crazy stuff. She worked for the FBI in their canine department, and the husband was an architect. Very nice people, very well-to-do, very educated people, and they had the handprint on their screen, not your porch door, the glass on their door. And she said it took her a while to get that thing off of there. The white, I never saw it. I only saw pictures of it. I personally have never seen it, but I've heard the stories of the white residue. But I've never seen it before. I've seen it on trucks, pictures of it on trucks and whatnot, truck windows.
You know what's interesting? It just hit me. I've never had this thought before. If there's a lot of, truth to some of their abilities and whatnot, we may not be able to tell from a dead body.
That's a good point.
So we still might not learn anything.
Right.
Right? That's kind of a thought, right? I just get these diarrhea thoughts all the time, David.
That's actually a really good that's a good conclusion for sure.
Well, here's an interesting observation that these things have been seen in Japan for hundreds of years. They're called higabon in Japan.
What do they call them?
Higabon.
Higabon. Okay.
Higabon. They've been seen in New Zealand, the North Island, near Cormorant Point, I think is what they call it, in New Zealand. New Zealand has no native land mammals. New Zealand broke off from the Gondwana, from the main continent, but it was mainly submerged. Only a small sliver of New Zealand was ever above the sea. almost all of it, 90% of New Zealand, was formed from volcanic activity. That's why there's no native mammals that live on New Zealand. But yet we have the Mohau man spotted in the North Island, seen many times over hundreds of years. And they're also in the Philippines. It's called the Capra in the Philippines. I've talked to people, I visited the museum from the Philippines, and they told me there's grandfather stories about him gifting these things, glowing eyes, up in the trees, these huge hairy people. They call them the Capra in the Philippines. So how they can be in the island nations of New Zealand, the Philippines, and Japan.
Yeah, and all over Asia. I mean, the China.
How do we not have
Vietnam.
them? I mean, on an island? Isn't Japan host? They're the biggest city in the world, Tokyo. They've been living on the island for thousands of years. And they don't have a body or a specimen or a skeleton. So these are examples of strangeness that a lot of people don't want to talk about. But how can these things be? Any mammal that is on the island of New Zealand arrived there by ship?
Well, actually, I think they're a much more ancient being than we have an understanding for. Back when the continents were reshaped and didn't look like what they look like now. What was an island wasn't an island.
Yeah.
If you go back in ancient history.
Right.
So I think that we're dealing with something that's very, very ancient and knows way more than we do.
I agree. And it makes you wonder, how can something that old, that's been here that long, and exists here now? So we're not talking about T-Rex that died out 60 million years ago. We're talking about something that was possibly here since the beginning of the continents, Pangea or Gondwana, whatever you want to call it, and exists all over the world now. Where are all those bodies between then and now? Where's all those fossils? Where's all those skeletons on the island nations? So when people say there's nothing supernatural about this, I'm like, I don't know what else is more supernatural. And how can they have been here then and they're here now by the thousands on every continent, and nobody has a skeleton? Nobody. I talked to a lady that saw one in Italy. There's no skeletons in Italy. They've spotted in Britain, in Germany, in Ireland. They're there as well, but nobody's got a skeleton in her body. So I don't know what could be more supernatural, just in the what do you call the basis that we know that they exist. I'm going to say they exist. They're observed all over the world on every continent and islands, and nobody has a body. I find that very telling and very interesting.
David, have you seen the movie Forbidden Planet?
Yes.
Old sci-fi movie.
Mm-hmm.
Where the Krell, who had inhabited that planet, used a machine to increase their brain power, and they invented through their id, which is subconscious, monsters, and they manifested them in physical form.
Mm-hmm.
Are we dealing with something like that, where we are manifesting these creatures with, and that's why there's so many different types and so many different variations?
I could go with that if people had observed them eating or defecating on themselves, leaving footprints. There's just too many physical properties.
Well, that was the thing, that the power of the subconscious was creating physical manifestations of a monster. Leaving footprints that they were finding.
Right.
But it also, since it wasn't real, it could disappear or go away. Are we dealing with something of that nature?
I think
who knows? I mean, it's just one of those things where we can throw things at the wall all night long to see what sticks.
Sure. Well, it just occurred to me that another explanation is, what if they're incredibly long-lived? If they live to be 300 years old and they only have one or two offspring, that would explain a lot Who knows?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that would explain why the lack of dead bodies. It would explain there's comparatively few older ones that are seen. You know, that look older.
Right.
I mean, if they live 300 or 400 years, which is plausible.
Good as any.
That thought has occurred to me as well. Didn't they say back in the days of Noah, people lived much longer than they do now. There's biblical stories where they didn't live, 60. They lived
Nephilim
hundreds
blood.
of years. So yeah, absolutely.
Who knows?
That's a strong possibility.
I mean, it would explain a lot of stuff. It would kind of fill in a lot of gaps answer a lot of puzzles.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. All right, we got to go.
Yeah, it's getting late.
All of our,
Good to see you, David.
Everybody's bladder's going to explode.
Well, all three of you guys. I really appreciated a great, stimulating conversation.
Oh, it's great.
It means a lot.
Thanks for coming on, David.
That was really fun, David. Now, hopefully we can chat soon and share some more stuff. We can get you back on. You are welcome back anytime you want to come on, too. If you got some crazy thing you want to tell us, please come on and share it.
I only got a couple hundred stories for you. So.
Well, yeah, you can come on anytime you want. Just hear a cool story. Come on.
Yep.
Just let me know. You don't have to stay for hours. Sorry about that. I really do. It just
no worries.
I get so into it, and Jeff does.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I could
David.
go all night.
Thank you.
We're going to leave everybody.
Should we play a little wisdom quick here?
Yeah, we're going to do our wisdom with stand by, everybody.
Stand by. We'll be right back.
It's now time for Untold Radio AM Wisdom of the Week. Remember that the daily practice of kindness will transcend most barriers, especially when combined with gratitude, forgiveness, thoughtfulness, and unselfish work for others. Good night from all of us at the Untold Radio Network.
Once again, good wisdom from Doug.
Oh, yeah. Good night, everybody. We really appreciate our audience tonight.
Yeah, love you guys.
It was kind of nuts. Anyhow, thanks so much, David. It's just awesome. Once again, the Expedition Bigfoot Museum in Blue Ridge, Georgia.
Yep.
And you have a phone number, easy to find. Just Google you'll come up, your phone number.
Facebook on Google, yep.
Yeah, people can get directions.
Got a nice website, yep.
Again, tomorrow, somebody who works with David will be on Squatch and Holler on the Untold Radio Network tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly the time, probably 7 p.m. Central. And we will talk to you soon, David. Me and David talk all the time. We're like brothers, I guess. We're talking all the time. But anyhow, we love everybody. Everybody have a great, safe rest of the week, and we love y'all. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Jeff. Good night, Doug.
Call you up in the middle of the night. Been bothered by dreams, ain't feeling alright. You give me comfort, say just give it some time. By the end of our